Before we get into today's episode of A Waste of Time with It's The Real, we wanted to make mention, because there has been such a big demand for this, we have new t-shirts available at ItsTheReal.com/shop, and the one that you guys asked us for the most are t-shirts with our AKAs on them. And Jeff, there's a lot of AKAs on them.
We have so many AKAs because we change it up every single time.
10 years of AKAs, never repeated an AKA, and now we have t-shirts that feature so many of them, including... Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Moving Bass, a.k.a. Jazz.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Alcoholism, a.k.a. Heartbreaker.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. About That Life, a.k.a. Mikey Likes It.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Pink in My Drink, a.k.a. Pepto-Bismol.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. The Math Tutor, a.k.a. You Don't Want No Problem.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Five Fingers of Death, a.k.a. Isotoner Gloves.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Trap or Die, a.k.a. The Oregon Trail.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Romus and Romulus, a.k.a. Latin Kings.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Coke and Mentos, a.k.a. Poppin' Bottles.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Buckshot Shorty, a.k.a. Bambi.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Petri Dish, a.k.a. For the Culture.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Get These Hands, a.k.a. Hammurabi Code.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Planting Seeds, a.k.a. Hoe Activities.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Titty Boy, a.k.a. T-shirt in the pool.
And so many more. Go to ItsTheReal.com/shop right now. Cop an AKA t-shirt. We have tons of sizes and they're going fast. Now's the time to do it. ItsTheReal.com/shop. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Eric.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Very, very happy because this weekend we got to celebrate our great friends, Alex and Shamira, who just got married.
Yes, the bald god and the bald goddess now.
Yeah.
Although they've been married for like a little while.
But that's all right. We're happy to celebrate them whenever they want. They had I guess it was a themed celebration for their wedding. Mm-hmm. It was, and not themed like a frat party theme.
No, it was. It wasn't like, corporate hoes and CEOs or tennis bitches and country club riches or
no, this was a Roaring 20s Gatsby theme, like show up in a tux with tails and have a bowler hat and girls wear pearls and
feathers and
this was
a couple of newsies were there.
And you know what? We did show up black tie. We had nice tuxes. We did not go that extra mile. We didn't have canes or anything.
No, we were black tux, no fucks. You know what I'm saying?
And so after the festivities, we decided to go out. We wanted to go see Jersey Jinx spin at this bar on the Lower East Side called
the Mockingbird.
And so we pull up and we jump out. And you have to show your IDs to the bouncer. And he goes, "Are you guys coming from a funeral?"
Right. Well, we put the fun in funeral because we show up with our shiny shoes and...
I just don't understand that. Like, do we look sad?
No, I think that he has never been to a wedding.
or a funeral, apparently. Or maybe, does he just go to fancy funerals? I've never been to a funeral where it's like, you know what? Black tie affair.
Yeah, I'm going all out.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring out the vest.
Get your top hat.
Yeah.
Like every funeral that I've been to has been suits, but it's never been
on a Saturday night.
Yeah. Uniform and I don't know. It struck me as crazy because like maybe we look like we're coming from like the Kennedy Center Honors. Maybe it looks like we're coming from someone getting an award somewhere. We look like we came from a wedding.
Right.
That was what was nuts to me. I just did not understand it. So then we go downstairs. We have a nice time. We see Jinx. He's just doing a great job down there. Mm-hmm. At the end of the night, we go upstairs and it's raining outside and we're waiting for our car to come pick us up. And the same bouncer doubles down to another bouncer and says, "Hey, where do you think they're coming from?"
And the other bouncer is like, "A wedding." He's like, "I love suits." He's like, "These are great suits. You guys look great."
You know what we should have told the first bouncer? We should have told him that, yes, we're coming from a funeral because we just killed the dance floor.
Whew. Indict us.
Shout out to Jersey Jinx.
Shout out to the whole staff at the Mockingbird. You guys seem fun.
Yep. Shout out to Alex Chichimaro, too, by the way, because he was on the podcast back in...
I want to say January.
Go check that episode
I'm going to say January.
It's a great episode. He talks about being in the record business. He talks about working at Disney World. He talks about just working for hot new hip-hop and his come up. And a lot of people, really, honestly, Jeff, were like, I'm sad I didn't know Alex Chichimaro before this episode.
Were they like funeral sad?
They were funeral sad. Jeff,
yeah.
On the podcast today.
Is Sylvan Lacue.
Yeah.
Formerly known as Quest.
Yeah.
The rapper, the artist, the performer, the former Tag Records signee.
God. Was that what you were most excited to talk about?
Yes. Although I guess he wasn't really signed to Tag Records. He just
had a sort of relationship with them. They gave him money.
Yeah.
He did not sign
If people
to
don't know what
Records.
Tag Records is, which why should you? I'm like, we're the only people that probably knows what this is. It was a deodorant sponsored record label run by
Jermaine Dupri.
Shout out to Jermaine Dupri.
What a time.
Jermaine Dupri, who hopped in your Instagram live the other day.
He did. Shout out to Jermaine. We want to get him on the podcast.
But
This is a great episode. Sylvan's got a wonderful journey, ups and downs, and right now he's riding a really big wave. Shout out to streaming and Spotify and people being able to find artists in different ways these days. It's really wonderful. So
yeah, and he's a good dude. Who knew?
He's a great dude, and was really excited to come on the podcast because he's a listener. So
yeah,
if he's listening right now, maybe he's listening. Shout out to Sylvan Lacue. Shout out to our guy Amir Bessie who came through.
Shout out to Jonathan Benavente.
Shout out to Jonathan. He was here too, and I think everyone had a great time. We really enjoyed this episode. We know you guys will too. Jeff, when do you want to get into it?
Right after I apologize to Jonathan because I think I just butchered his name.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, when do you want to get into this?
Right now.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Sid from Toy Story, a.k.a. Blowing Six Figures.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Brazy Sunday, a.k.a. Six Lack Sabbath.
Yo, what up? It's Sylvan Lacue, a.k.a. Don't Speak Unless Spoken To, a.k.a. What side of the pillow did you wake up on? Because you look fantastic.
Yeah, this is Waste Time with It's The Real. Sylvan, what's happening?
I'm great, man. I'm here.
You are really here. Upper West Side. We saw you last night. You performed live in front of a sold-out crowd.
I did.
New York City.
I did.
A sold-out crowd. That happened.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like slowly coming back to me because I'm getting like sober and sober as the day goes by, and it's like, wow, that happened.
No, that's a real thing though.
Yeah.
Legitimate people bought tickets, sold out the place, and you were on stage to sort of lead them.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, you always think about, like, this is probably like my second sold out show, you know, so it's like, wow, like people really paid money to like see me like put words together. Like,
it's amazing.
This is insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. I've had so many shows in New York, so that was just like, wow, insane, man.
So we're at your show last night, and I needed to look up something about you, and so I searched for Sylvan Lacue on Google, and the first thing that came up was a Wikipedia entry for Quest. And so I start reading it, and I'm like, Jose Villanueva III, better known as Quest, is a Filipino singer, rapper, and songwriter known for his song Sig Lang in 2012, which is the theme song for the basketball team Gilas Pilipinas. And I'm like, oh, so he's Filipino? And then, like, at that moment, you were like, yeah, like, you know, I'm from Miami, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And you started going into your story, and I was like, what? Anyway, get your Google fix.
Yeah. It's fan fiction, whatever.
Blame the label.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Well, where else have you performed in New York?
So the first time I ever performed in New York was like in 2011, and it was with Mickey Fax.
Wow.
And I was opening up for him.
By the way, shouts to Mickey Fax. He listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
Shouts to Mickey Fax. That's like my first like mentor. And well, like rapper mentor. I guess like industry mentor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's one of the first. But it was like SOBs, and I think he had this mouse tape, and he was like, yo, do you want to open? And I was like, yeah, this is crazy. I've never been in New York and performed, you know what I mean? So, and then SOBs, you know, I watched.
Legendary.
Yeah, so I'm like, what? And then, you know, I've done a bunch of openings, and I've opened for everybody from Logic to like, like, I think like there was a DMX concert at one point.
Crazy.
Yeah, wait, hold on. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I think there was a DMX concert.
Well, it's like I think I opened for him. No, never mind. That was Miami. Never mind. That's a whole different.
Did he open for you?
Nah, that was an amazing. That was probably like one of the best concerts I never got to really witness because he didn't go on till 3.
Wow.
And I remember my ex at the time was like, "Yo, man, I think I'm getting my period," and I was like, "Oh, this sucks," and I had to leave at like 2. It was like right there. This was like everything that culminated into
That
my
is such
experience.
a distinct memory, by the way.
Yeah.
It's because I wanted to see him so bad. It was like I opened for him. I was the first one on. There was like 7 openers, so I like got to get my bars off and not get booed. And you know, because it's like a fresh crowd and everybody else got booed. It was like a really surreal experience now that I think about it, because there was like a bunch of motorcycles and like old guys with
Rough Riders.
jackets. I was like, this is crazy.
By the way, your girl getting her period and DMX's bloodline records. There's a joke there somewhere. Just
figure it out. Like, because I can't figure it out.
For the people out there, leave a comment. Let us know what you think the joke is. That's a real thing. Where are you originally from?
Miami, Florida.
Where in Miami, Florida?
I'm originally from Miami Gardens.
Where is that?
It's like, so there's two separate, I guess there's like two major counties that kind of separate each other. It's like Broward County and Dade County. Yeah. So there's like County Line Road, and it's like it separates each counties. And I lived right as you cross Broward.
Okay.
Like the first city is like Miami Gardens, or North Miami.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit further up, but they're kind of like all like, it's like Miami Gardens, North Miami-Dade, and then you have like the rest of Miami. It's just so many sub-cities. It's like, it reminds me a lot of LA, where it's very big, but at the same time you can be in Compton or be in
Port of Miami.
Yeah, right. Essentially. Right. Like,
so you are then a SoundCloud rapper.
I am definitely a SoundCloud rapper. 100%.
Yeah. Anybody from Florida.
Yeah, well, Broward County.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone is a SoundCloud rapper.
Everybody. We invented it. It was the... Yeah, it was.
You're at the epicenter. Yeah. So it's...
you have the most normal name out of all the SoundCloud rappers, by the way.
I don't know. So I did look up Sylvan just to be like, how popular is this name? It's a very unique name.
Yeah.
And 43 out of every, I think, million kids is named Sylvan.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Or 1,000 or something? No, million.
You tell me. I don't know.
It's million. I looked it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a very rare name. I know that it's from Of the Forest.
Yes.
It's Latin.
It is your given name.
It is.
Yeah.
So why is your name Sylvan?
So my first name was supposed to be Aloysius. Yeah, so funny enough, my dad's lawyer at the time named me, which is crazy, right?
Yes.
Insane, so insane. But my grandmother was like, yeah, let's name him Aloysius when I was born.
Is your father's name Aloysius?
No.
Is your lawyer's name Aloysius?
No.
Is his favorite artist Aloe Black?
It was like the most like random story, and I was like, okay, so how did that not happen? Because I could have been like Al or Alo, and this would have been like either really great or really like...
It would have been great for this interview, but yeah.
Very much so, you know what I mean? But like, I guess my dad's lawyer was in the room. This is like, I'm telling you guys a story that I heard. And they're like, yeah, well, let's just call him Sylvan. That's my son's name. And I became Sylvan, and that was my name.
You were named after somebody else's son because they didn't want to name you Aloysius.
Literally.
Do you know other Sylvan?
I do know another Sylvan.
No, I mean, do you know the lawyer's son, Sylvan?
Oh, no. Not
really. Okay,
No, please, Eric.
I'm pretty sure he's somewhere in like... No, actually, wow. So he died. But it wasn't like I, knew the guy.
He
like died maybe like 2 years after, got into like a car crash,
Yeah.
God bless his soul. But that's how I got my name.
Do you have any other siblings?
Yes. I have 2 siblings.
Older, younger?
Younger. One is 22 on my dad's side.
Yeah.
And then one is 18 going on 19 on my mother's side.
Are either of them named Aloysius?
Not at all.
Okay. Okay.
The one who's 22, his name is Miles.
Okay.
Miles Lacue. And then on my mom's side, it's his name is Breon Carter.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing, man.
So, growing up, how long were you an only child for?
I was an only child up until I would say 10.
Wow.
But technically, it's like, I wouldn't even say really, because it was kind of interesting. Like I was like, I think I moved in with my aunt when I was 4 years old. So me and my cousin at the time were like, basically siblings. So we lived there for like 4 years. And then by the time I was 8, we moved into our own little apartment. So I was technically like an only child for like a year. And then my mom got pregnant again. And it was like, okay, boom. So then around 10, we had a 1-bedroom apartment in Miami Gardens. And I used to sleep on a pull-out couch in the living room when I was like 10. And my brother had... It was so. Now that I think about it, I'm like pretty jealous because like my brother got like a race car bed, like literally to like the left side of like my pull-out bed, and I'm like, yo, I never got a freaking like race car bed.
People have to sit on my bed to like watch television.
Literally, and I have to put it up like immediately because people want to watch TV as soon as I get up in the morning.
Right,
you were the man of the house.
I was like, what? I had like all the responsibility, and like my mom, like, so yeah, it was like around 10. My mom had second child, and so I wasn't really a only child like that for a while.
And what did your parents do for a living?
So my mom was doing a bunch of jobs actually, but it really kind of revolved around medical billing. Mm-hmm. Like she just did like a lot of medical or just like office jobs where she would be doing billing of any kind of sorts. And then my dad was really a hustler. He did everything from like stockbroker exchange to like selling cars to starting businesses to selling drugs. He was just like the all-encompassed.
Right.
Every type of hustle you could think of, my dad did. He did it. If it made money, he got on it. Smartest guy now.
And what were you getting into as a young kid?
Man, so like I was like just trying. I mean, normal shit. You know what I mean? Like ride bikes and Sega Genesis and everything. But I think like I picked up real quick that like I wasn't the best
at Sega Genesis.
I definitely wasn't. I used to get schooled by my mom. Funny enough, right? My mom bought it. Well, my dad bought it. My dad bought it for me in '95, and I was like, "Wow, oh my god, this is Sega Genesis! This has like every game stored on it." Because like Sega Genesis has like 25 games, that are kind of like stock games, but you play them out until you get enough money to like get like an actual game. But this is right when like PlayStation was coming in, so my dad bought it for me, and my mom like drew a liking to it and just started like beating me a lot growing up. I'm like realizing all of this, by the way, now, like as I like go through it. But I was just.
Do you still hold on to that like resentment?
I kind of do, man. I think that's where it started. You know?
Everyone's got a chip on their shoulder.
Like, what's up?
This is just yours.
I'm like, this is mine. Like, what? Like, there's just no room for like escaping.
Right. She always got to be like the first controller. You were second, so you had to be Tails for some reason.
Yo, legitimately, I did because she was my mom, and then on top of that, she would beat me, and then she would leave. She'd be like, "Yeah, now clean this like living room,
fold up your bed, idiot."
Like, and she would go in her room and just dip.
Yo, with all due respect to with all due respect to Rick Ross, she's the real boss of Broward County. Like,
she really is, man. She is the strongest person I know. But I was just a kid. We had like water fights on Good Fridays, and but I realized early on that I wasn't like the best at certain things.
What were you good at?
I was good at writing. I was really good at writing, and I was good at storytelling. It was like something I really loved to do.
How'd you find that out?
I think it was like fourth grade. Before fourth grade, I was kind of like fiddling with rap when I was 7. I was like, writing like, things that didn't really make much sense. But in fourth grade, I started writing stories. I would write like these comics, and I would draw them out, and I would like pass them around in my class and just be like, yo, read this, maybe you like it. And then I started this series in fourth grade called The Indian. I had the Indian 1, the Indian 2, and the Indian 3, and when I think back at it, I'm like, wow, that just was not something that was maybe like culturally appropriate.
Well, what did the Indian do?
He like survived, and that was like my thing. It was like he was like alone, and he was in a forest, and there was just like mad shit that was popping up. So it's like, yo, here's this like crazy tiger, and like he's got to like find a way to get the fuck away from this tiger, and he would like jump into a fucking lake. He was just always alone, but he was just always like fighting shit. It'd be like, yo, well, here's this like ridiculous bear that comes out of nowhere, and like he's got to escape that. And,
by the way, I don't hear anything wrong with this.
Yeah,
this isn't like he's a mascot for like a college football team. This is like a decent individual who's just trying to like win over nature, right?
Yeah. I mean, what is the better trilogy, Coke Boys 1, 2, and 3, or Indian 1, 2, and 3?
Definitely Coke Boys.
Yeah, well,
Coke Boys.
Open for discussion.
Yeah, I mean, you are in our apartment, so you better say Coke Boys. Shouts to French Montana.
Yeah.
I'm saying, right?
So those were well received by your classmates?
Yeah, man. Like, it got to a point where like my teacher found out, and she would like read them, and so I was writing, and then I was.
Well, she had to read them.
Yeah, but she would read them out loud to the class.
Oh, got it.
And I was like, because I was just like doing it because it was a great. I liked the idea of creating worlds or creating like realities that I saw in my head. So I was just like, hey man, you want to read this, and I got around to the class, and then my teacher was like, what is this? And then she started reading, thinking it was gonna be like some like crazy shit, like, yeah man, and that's why I shot everybody, all this other shit, because we're badass kids. But she started reading it, then she pulled me to the side and was like, hey, do you mind if I read this to like the class? And I was like, yeah, I guess.
That's awesome.
And that's where it started, and then it kind of started getting crazy, because after that I would write more. And I think like I started getting into like writing about like my favorite artists and creating like hypothetical scenarios between my favorite artists and like creating whole stories behind them. So I remember like there was, I don't even remember what it was called, but I filled up a whole composition book in like 6th grade or 5th grade with like this story of all of my favorite rappers, like, but as mob bosses. So like there was like Ja Rule and like Fat Joe, mind you, I'm like 11.
Right,
so like
right.
it was like Ja Rule, Fat Joe, Ashanti, basically anybody in 2001 who was popping, they were in my book. And I like created this whole like mob thing where everybody was shooting everybody, and I think like Charlie Baltimore had to kill Fat Joe because it was just like, yo, you betrayed it. It was just like this whole thing.
Was it everybody from Murder Inc?
Literally, because
You're like,
dude,
Cadillac
Cadillac Talk, Vita was in there.
Yeah.
Black Child was in there. Everybody, Irv Gotti.
Yeah.
Even like the producers were in there, man.
Oh, like Seven Aurelius. Yeah.
He was in there, because I had to like look up the credits. Anybody who was attached to those guys or did records with those guys, they were in.
Wait, can you upload that to Instagram and then tag every single person?
That'd be amazing.
And like get your clout score like real high?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, like
it is
that
Throwback
would-
Thursday, by the way, so I don't know if you can find a scanner at this time of day, but
There would
In New
be-
York.
in New York,
in
yeah.
New York somewhere.
Yeah. Well, no, your writings from grade 6.
I got in trouble for those writings. That's when they started like pulling me to like the office.
Wait, why?
So it was like, I'm getting older, so like, I'm starting to like, get hormones and shit. So like, there's like sex and violence and shit in it.
Oh, in the actual story.
Mhm.
Got it.
So like,
Yeah, okay, so the fan fiction took a
yeah,
turn.
it was like, oh wow, man, I'm attracted to women now. So what's this like? So let's get like all this crazy shit in it. But I stood
Wait, can
my
we play
ground.
the instrumental to Rain on Me like behind this whole story?
Sure. Yeah.
Just a really
It's a
sad.
classic. But anyways, I remember got around to my class, and my class was like, yeah, man, this is crazy. Are you gonna write another one? And I'm like, I don't know, man.
Wait. So when the news came out like years later that Irv Gotti and Ashanti had a real relationship, where you were like, I knew it.
Yeah, literally, dog. Actually, like legit, I was just like, yo, man, like what the. But man, it was kind of like this. I was kind of like close, because for me it was like, all right, well, Ashanti and Ja have it, well, obviously,
Right.
Yeah,
Because,
I mean, their chemistry is so good.
Yeah.
so astounding. So
It's mesmerizing.
What was the Grease video?
Yeah.
yeah, man,
Yeah.
that was one of my faves.
Yeah.
And I went through a really tough time around there, because I had to like, I had to accept that G Unit was coming, and I loved it.
Yeah.
and I had to accept it.
Oh, you're torn.
Yeah.
dog.
That's a real thing.
It was a hard time for me.
Yeah.
Like I stand and I got clowned for it. I remember getting called by the principal, and the principal was like, I'm gonna send you to the guidance counselor. And I'm like, well, even back then I was like, well, why didn't I just go to the guidance counselor first? So he sends me to the guidance counselor, and she's just asking me all these questions. And she's like, is everything okay at home? And, are you all right? And, like, what compelled you to, write something like this? And I'm like, dude, like, I just wanted to.
Yeah, the left side of my brain.
Yeah, like,
my
what?
mom keeps beating me at video games.
Like, what do you want? Why are you taking everything? He's like, I can't win at video games. Like,
So they thought you were a problem child because you were creative?
yeah, it's Florida, man,
No, I don't know.
No, actually, in Florida, it feels like anything goes.
No, that's true.
It-
Yeah.
It is a very anything goes, because there's so many cultures that come like together.
Yeah.
So it's like anything. There's no like real general consensus. It's just wow, it's just like every area has their predominant people, but anything can happen because there's no set like predominant culture. It's just people come there.
Yeah, crazy people come there, and also old people. And so when the confluence of those two things happen,
It's true.
Yeah, this is what happens.
It's very true.
Like, so, what's your favorite Florida man story?
Man, there was the one with the bath salt where homie like ate his entire face.
Yeah.
That's your favorite.
Yeah, it's my favorite one.
It's a terrifying thing.
I mean, you know,
that was like real life zombie.
Yeah,
stuff.
I was in Florida. My mom came out. My mom was like, "Did you hear about the man who ate the other man's face?" And I'm like, "What?" She's like, and she turned on the news, and it was a very real thing.
That's a real thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're like, I'm getting in trouble for my, made up rap mob life like stories.
You know what I mean?
And then the ASAP Mob makes a song called Bath Salts.
Yeah, come on.
With the Flatbush Zombies. Come on.
So, who are you by the time you get to high school? Do you have like a good idea, like how you're dressing, how you're like moving? Like, who are you?
Yeah, man. So middle school, I start writing a lot. Like, I'm writing a lot of raps. And I think, like, after, the whole Murder Inc. thing, I was just like, okay, it's time to retire from these stories and just really get into rap. I also got cut from the basketball team. It was a lot of factors in rap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, by the time I got to high school, I was like looking, I had experimented with recording right before I started high school with this random guy who was literally across the street from me.
The Indian.
Would you like to record your entire life here? I just remember, like, we had a hurricane once, and this was like 9th grade, and he was just like, he came outside, and I came outside, and he was like, yeah, man, I make music. And I was like, wow, I write music. He's like, you should record. And I was like, okay. And we recorded like 4 songs, and I remember I recorded over What More Can I Say, Get 'Em High, Never Let Me Down, and I think there was one other.
So when he says he makes music, like he just uses Jay-Z instrumentals, right? Yeah.
Well, funny enough, like he wanted me to use his instrumentals, and because I guess he was producing on this program, and I was like, nah, these are bad.
Yeah.
But I have all these raps that I wrote to these beats, and I would love to do this. Also,
Wow.
This was like Smack DVD time where it was getting really prominent. So I was like, all right, well, it's time. And by the time I kind of experimented, and then by the time we got to 9th grade, I was just like this kid who rapped, and it was like an interesting thing. I think by that time I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm gonna make music, and I just need to find ways to keep doing that. So I signed up for this recording program that they had that got shut down because everybody stole all the laptops.
The school had a program.
Florida Man.
Yeah.
Florida Man steals all laptops from. It's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we, Mr. Davis, the teacher at the time, they had just started getting these Apple laptops, and that was the first class I ever took. And they're like, yeah, you're gonna learn recording and learn putting together beats and stuff. I was like, all right, cool. And so they had a program. You would sign in, and you would schedule studio time, so you could record yourself after school.
That's
and
awesome.
You had like 3 hours, so I was the only one going. Nobody else was going, because nobody was really thinking about rap at that time, in my opinion.
You're a 9th grader.
9th grader. So I would just go, first day of high school, came in, they did the whole thing, and then they opened the program 2 weeks later. So I came in, and they had GarageBand set up, and I would just come with, I didn't know how to make beats or where to get beats from, so I would just come in with instrumentals. I would rap, and I would spend all my time until like 6 o'clock, write all my raps, record them, take them home, be like, what the fuck? This is crazy. Why am I? This is insane. And then go home, do my homework, go to sleep, and just do it all over again.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That was
our high school, what did we have?
We had a planetarium.
A planetarium.
Yeah.
That's actually tight.
I mean, I guess.
Although now they took away the planetarium, and now it's a black box theater.
Yeah, so, whatever.
Yeah.
I would have rather had GarageBand at mine, so,
Yeah.
They shut it down, though. By the time 10th grade came around, I started working with this guy named Will Notes, who at the time, this is like 2005, right? So yeah, you had like Ye and a couple others, but this is Florida, so it's Jeezy, it's Wayne, and I'm T-Pain, Lil Jon, but I was like super into like Nas and like Jay, and this is a time where like things were transitioning, so I felt like, damn man, like everybody who was making beats at the time was making like, hey, what's that in it? I'm like, this is not what I want to do. So I met this guy named Will Notes, who was introduced to me by this dude named Rudy. They're both seniors. And he was like, yo, you got to check out my man. He got crazy samples. And I'm like, all right, cool. Tell him to come to the program thing, And he came by. And I remember he played me like 3 beats. I recorded to all 3 beats. And we became really good friends. And then 10th grade, they stole all the laptops. So they shut down the entire program.
Wait, Will Notes stole the?
Nah.
Okay.
No, your dad did.
Yeah, my dad did. He stole everything. And just sold them all.
Yeah. What was your rap name in 9th and 10th grade?
Wow, it was Quest.
Okay.
It was Quest.
How'd you spell it?
Capital Q, undercase U, capital ES, undercase T.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's because
Nas had capital N, lowercase a, capital S.
That's right.
And that was my favorite rapper. He still is one of my favorite rappers. But at that time, he was like the end all be all for me. So I was like, well, I mean, I arrived at Quest pretty randomly too, because I started as like Lil Q, because Lil Thing was happening, and Bow Wow was like a pretty like prominent figure for me. Wow, Here's this 13-year-old selling out Madison Square Garden. What the fuck?
Wait, what was Bow Wow doing in your fan fiction?
Yo, he was the kid. He was actually in my fan fiction, which is
course
funny
he was,
enough.
yeah.
Like he was just the kid that like that got told like to stay out of it. He's like, yo, chill out, Bow Wow.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Bow
Was he an
was-
avatar for you?
Low key, he was.
Wow.
I actually did like 3 talent shows performing Bow Wow songs in elementary. Yeah, man, I did Puppy Love, I did Bounce With Me, and I did What's My Name.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like the ones with like Soulja Boy or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish that would have been amazing. But
So you were Quest.
I was Quest, yes.
And you spelled it like that every time.
Every time, and
Yeah.
I made it sure. At first, it was obnoxious. I had like a question mark in front of the Q. I was like just trying to like. I knew Quest was general, so early on, I was just like, man, they gotta know like it's me.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
And not just a shortened Quest
yeah,
love. Right? Yeah.
right. It's like, oh, Quest is like, no, it's the letters, man.
Yeah.
like it's me. I don't know what I was thinking at the time.
No,
but
because like you can't be. We'll give rappers a hard time if they're like problem or trouble or like all these words that like if you search them, you have to be like, oh, trouble rapper.
Yeah.
Or like problem rapper, which is also weird. But like we can't play both sides of the coin and be like, well, curtains, that's silly. Like you can't spell your name with a million different weird things, because if you actually type in curtains as he spells it with the @ sign and with the exclamation point, you
nothing comes up.
Oh.
Right? No.
I would think you wouldn't find him.
I have no idea.
No.
Google curtain. Somebody Google curtains for me.
Let us know.
Yeah.
I mean,
But your Quest, so you're performing live, you're recording. Is there an end goal in sight, or are you just like, I'm in high school, like this is just what I do for fun?
Nah, I knew I wanted to be respected. I was just like, man, like I want to I like my heroes were like Jay, Nas, and like Big Pun, and I just really loved rap. I loved like the art of it. I loved the different stages, and the first rapper I was Nas, and then I just started emulating guys because I wanted to be just as good as them, and I just wanted to be like revered. I was like, man, like one day I want to be as well respected as these guys, because I respect them so much because they're so good at what they do.
What were you rapping about?
I was rapping about, man, at first it was just like very like overly deep stuff that just didn't need to be deep.
But you're a high schooler.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, and just trying to be like different versions of like my favorite rappers. Like
Sure.
Nas was super deep, so I was super deep, and then Jay was like super swagged out, so I was like, well, you know what, let me try this out. And then Pun was super lyrical, so I just started emulating that. And then I got to, I think the last rapper that I was like super like blatantly emulating was Lupe Fiasco. He was like my end all be all.
Yeah.
And he came right around 2006, and I was like, I'm not alone. Here's this guy who like looks like me, you know what I mean, who's a nerd and just like, but is like super good and like can make songs. Like,
was it like the did he make like an anime reference in
Super
touch
Saiyan
the
or
sky
whatever.
or whatever?
Yeah.
Right? And then like Food and Liquor, obviously.
I mean, I was on him with Lupe the Jedi because I was super on Smack DVD stuff.
Right.
That was also an obsession of mine.
Lupin the Great, that's what it was.
Oh yeah.
So he had like the I remember he was like, you know, the crack rapper, and he had like Pop, and you know, he was just so dope to me. And I remember getting on him because of Uncasa, and I remember Uncasa from T-Rex, and like I remember like Uncasa had like this interview on Smack. He was like,
"You're a real New Yorker for a guy from South Florida."
Well, also,
you're not that New York, because if you were a real New Yorker, you'd say Uncasa.
You're right.
Instead of like putting on like the real like, oh well, you know, in Lo Havana,
right? Yeah.
We say un casa.
Un casa.
UN casa? Yeah.
UN. I was like, I remember that battle so well because, you know, he's like, you spit that on the radio. And, you know, T-Rex is my favorite at the time. And you got to understand, too, a lot of dudes from New York were coming to Florida. Like, they were just starting to it was like this migrate thing. And then, you know, Dipset was happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, everybody had like bandanas and like fake, you know, square studded earrings. And, you know, naturally I gravitated towards that because I wasn't really into like the South at all. Like I was just like, this is cool, but like, yo, Dipset, Diplomatic Immunity, like, you know, Nas, like this, that, yo, Murder Mook got next, yo, and then, you know, the whole 2005, like New York is gonna be back with Saigon and Papoose and J Mills, like that. I was just like, yo, this is the second coming. And so that was, I just wanted to be respected, man. All in all, I was like, I'm going to do this. And so when the studio started shutting down, I remember I was recording with, I remember I was still rocking with Will Nelson. We were just like, what are we going to do? And he's like, well, you know, my dad has like a bunch of old equipment because he used to be a musician. Maybe we can just try to work it out. And so I started going to his house after school. And it was dope because we didn't have a limit. So before, for the program, you'd have 3 hours. And it's like, all right, get out of here. So I'd get like my little honey bun and then go home. And then I was like, that's it. But I started leaving school. I would do my homework, catch the bus, walk a mile because you had to, because his house was like, we have these suburbs or like these little communities that you have to like have no sidewalks sometimes, so you have to just walk the streets and get to like, so I would just get off the bus, I would get off school, do my homework on the bus, walk, and we would just spend, I think we spent like a whole year trying to figure out how to record, like how to like record, because we just didn't, we had like this big machine that didn't have a computer, so we would have to like stop and rewind it back manually and like, and then create another channel. Like we were like doing it we were just like, yo, whatever we gotta do. And then we finally got a computer and we got Cubase, and then that's when it was on. It was like, all right, let's push it. Like, and he was making beats, I was rapping on other instrumentals, I started rapping on some of his beats, and we put together this mixtape in 2006 called King of Miami. You know,
going for the throne. Yeah.
Straight up,
shoot your shot.
You know what I mean? It was like, yo,
did your mom have any idea what you were doing after school?
Yeah, I just told her, I was like, hey mom, I'm gonna go record. And she's like, all right. My mom has like very simple rules. She's just like, yo, are you not in jail? Are you not selling drugs? Are you going to graduate? And is anybody pregnant? If those things aren't happening, then I really don't care what you do.
Walk 3 miles. Do whatever.
Yeah.
And pick up the second controller and lose, you motherfucker.
Lose.
Yeah.
Lose.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, King of Miami,
man.
What did Rick Ross think about that?
Man, you know, I'm not entirely sure. It's funny that I look back at it now, because back then I was just like, man, well, I want people to like this stuff, but I know I'm like super lyrical, so like maybe I should just like try to like bend a little bit. And so the King of Miami thing was just like, well, you know, I'm in Miami and we should figure this out, and you know, maybe it'll kind of spark something. And maybe it'll spark the conversation.
Yeah, what did Wayne call himself? He was, you know,
best rapper alive. So
right.
it was very like, yo, just what are you? Well, I'm the King of Miami.
And by the way, everyone laughed at Wayne at the time, and then he was just like, oh no, I'm really going to take this over, and he did.
He did.
Well, how many people laughed at you?
Oh man, the entire, and it was funny because we had like these fake beefs with this is crazy. So we had these fake beefs, and I remember like my first like click was just like Real Ill. We had like Real Ill Records, and I like created.
Shouts to Nas.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yo, it was funny enough. We had his like every summer was real ill, and that was like our tag. And I was really like a Nas head, and we were just running around. And I remember I had this kid named Jay Black who was like an immigrant, and then but also became a boxer, but he could rap, and he was like the first guy I battled. So we battled each other, and we went back and forth. And he was like, "Yo, man, I'm gonna rock with you." And this is like 2006. This is all happening in 1 year. And then there was this other kid named Ghost who was like a white rapper, but he was also super dope. So I would rock with him too.
By the way, of course his name is Ghost.
Yeah.
His name was actually Larry the Ghost. His name was Larry.
Oh, it wasn't just a clever name?
No, not at all. Yo, shouts to Larry. That's my dude. We used to get a lot of ice.
By the way, I trust that all this is true, but like even if this is all like still fan fiction and you're creating it, it's great. Yeah, I'm on board.
This
I'm on
is
board.
100% true.
Are you looking around like it's like
Usual Suspects?
Yeah, you're just like and Larry the Ghost, right?
Yeah.
Larry the Ghost, man. And I knew him from like elementary, and he was just super dope with like punchlines. And then we actually had another kid named Punchline Kid. His name was the Punchline Kid. I'm not making this up. I promise.
Yeah.
He was like the Punchline Kid. His real name was Junior.
Are there any punchlines that you remember?
Yeah, I actually remember one of his verse because we both rapped on Who Shot Ya, and it's funny because I was just thinking like, yo, Jay's gonna be like the guy who's like gets at anybody. Larry's gonna be the secret weapon, and Punchline Kid is just gonna be like my Lloyd Banks. And I remember he was like, I'm a motherfucking, I don't remember the shit. Actually, I don't. My top let off like a fire shell or some shit. Damn, I can't remember his verses. But he was just tall and big and Haitian, and he was intimidating, and he was like the leader of a gang called like the Sunshine Boys, because there was an area in South Florida in Broward called Sunshine because there was Sunshine Elementary. So they would like, it was just a thing, man. And I was like, yo, we gonna all like, we're just gonna, we're gonna rap, and we're gonna start ciphers and like lunch, and we're just gonna be real ill. You know what I mean? And they would all come through, and we would just rap, and we would, kick in. And we were like, freshman, sophomore, and the seniors, they had like these other guys who were super dope. Like there's a kid named Tragedy, and he was like the prophet. He would like only rap once in a while, but when he rapped so good that people would be like,
yo, he was like your Andre 3000.
Yeah.
He was.
Wow.
And he looked like he just looked like he was troubled. And
The rapper?
yeah.
No, Trouble the Rapper.
Yeah, basically, entirely like him.
He was a problem.
Yeah.
The rapper.
The rapper.
He was troubled, and he was a problem. And he would just be like, yo, it's Tragedy. And there was this other guy named Mustafa, and they had like this whole thing, and they were like the best battle rappers, and we were just trying to compete with them. It was like, all right, man, well, yo, we gonna start our own stuff, and then we gonna make so much noise that they gonna have to come and see us. And they did have to come see us. And when they did, I was the leader of the pack. And I remember the dude who was like the top rapper at the time was in the school was Tone and Mustafa, and I battled both of them outside, and I was winning. But then they took it into a hall, and they brought like all of their like East Coast dudes, and then I was alone. And
they switched the location on you?
Yeah, man, it was like trash. And then what's funny though is like my other boy, who wasn't a part of my clique, but he was starting his other clique too, and he was super dope. His name was Dialect, but with a CK. And he's actually probably one of the best rappers I know still. But his name's also Sylvan, and he was like 1 year like older than me. I can't make this up. But he was there, and he was like on my side, and he was just like witnessing me getting my ass beat because I was so naive to the fact that we're going into a different location so that they could whoop my ass and say like, yeah, we whooped his ass. And he was just like, nah, it ain't going down like that, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll come in here and battle right now. And I was legit, you know what I mean? Like, it was like my
that Sylvan like stood up for you.
Yeah, man. And
Sylvan stick together.
Right? Yeah.
They stick together, man.
Yeah.
And
that'd be heartbreaking if he was like, nah, fuck you. Like
he's like, nah, I'm the real Sylvan.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't get to keep your name. Yeah.
Not at all. You know what I mean?
Actually, I sort of wish that his name was the real Sylvan. And it was just like a direct shot at you.
You have to be Sylvan 1. Yeah.
Sylvan 2.
Yeah.
Second controller.
Did you ever watch like 106 in Park at the time and be like, yo, I'm gonna get on Freestyle Friday?
Nah, I didn't want to get on Freestyle Friday, but we knew like that's where it was at, and that's why we, that's why we did what we did. Like, even with like that dude Sylvan, the other Sylvan, he like
the real Sylvan, right?
The real Sylvan. He had his whole clique. It was like Golden Mics, and it was him, Dre John, and like a few other guys.
Sorry, it's what was your crew again?
Real Ill,
Golden Mics, and the Sunshine Boys. This is like some Wild Wild West shit. Like,
yeah.
It's the truth, man.
Yeah, everybody's like walking in the middle of the street because there are no sidewalks.
Yeah.
It was.
It's the Sunshine Boys.
Yeah, watch
the
out.
Sunshine Boys got
Run.
and they were just like,
Wah, wah, wah.
but they would mob so deep. They'd come with like 100 people, and it'd be like, why?
It's such a gangster name, though. It's just like the Sunshine Boys.
It's like,
but they're the hardest.
They were the hardest.
Yeah.
They would be like just mobbing everywhere. Like, if it was like a thing.
So you're rapping during your high school years. Do you have a job?
Yeah.
What was your job?
I was
killing motherfuckers
on the mic, eating MCs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah,
it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, man? Nah, man.
And folding up the sofa bed.
Right.
Literally. So we actually graduated. I got my own room around that time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It wasn't really my own room. It was just like I had a bed and my brother had the other side.
Yeah.
So, but it was still my room. I could go
to
to my
yeah.
door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that meant a lot to me. So,
As a man with hormones.
literally,
Yeah.
exactly. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, just privacy, so I can figure out what's happening.
Yeah.
Cinemax. So I think like around 2016 I was doing these things. 2006 I was doing these things, and I started working at Outback Steakhouse as a busboy. My boy Jay Black, who was part of my crew, was like 1 year older than me, and he was like already paying rent.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yo, I got you a job," and I was like, "All right." And he's like, "Yo, just come to Outback Steakhouse after school, and we'll set it all up." So I come to Outback Steakhouse, and I kid you not, there's this tall, like, black dude eating a steak. And he's like, and Jay Black takes me there, and he's like, "Yeah, man, yo, so I'm gonna take you to meet my man Sam." And he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna take you to meet my man Sam. He's gonna put you down, and everything's gonna be good." And so I go there, and Sam's like literally eating a steak and standing up like at the bar. And I go up to him, and I go to like shake his hand. He doesn't shake my hand. Cool. He's like, "Oh, this is the guy that you bring it through." I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "How old are you?" 16. He's like, "All right. So you gonna train him? You know what I mean? We gonna get, what I'm saying? You get him a meal. You get one meal if you open. You gotta eat it within 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And we'll start you up. We'll get you like 3 days. See if you do good. You do good, we'll put you on the clock."
This was your interview?
Literally. It wasn't even an interview. It was just like, it was like, "All right, cool." He's like, "All right, I'll see you on Friday."
How did it feel to meet the king of Miami?
Shouts to Sam, man. I hope he's doing good.
Is it possible to eat too many blooming onions?
Don't ever eat a blooming onion.
That's
the rule.
What?
That was the rule, dog.
That's the in-house rule, or it's something you learn?
No,
Only
that's
because
the
you can't
in-house
savor
rule.
it for 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It's the worst thing to ever eat. It's literally we had a rule: don't eat the blooming onion. Friends don't let friends eat the blooming onion.
Damn.
Yeah, it was like you literally had trays of onions. You would take it. There'd be like, and this was like when everybody was getting paid under the table. You know what I'm saying? So like, we would take the blooming onions and like, we would dip them in this like batter or whatever. Right. And then they just put it in their like grease.
Yeah.
And then take it out. And it was just like, yo, you don't. And it was also like the breadboards. We never like. We gave them to like the customers, but like if our friends came in, he's like, "Nah, I don't get my breadboard."
So what did you eat there? What was your one meal a week or whatever?
We used to eat like the kids burgers because it'd be like I would open like at 3:30. School would get out at 2:30. So I'd come to Outback Steakhouse, open, they give me a little burger, and then that's when I started eating fast because it was like, well, you got to eat and then get back on the floor. Yeah. So I'd get like a kids burger, or like kids chicken tenders, 3 tenders and some fries. and then we just go from there. And I just started working there, and the dope thing about it was like they gave you tips at the end of the night, so you'd walk away with like 25, 30. Or
You got to share your tips with everyone, or
yeah, you had to.
Yeah.
But you still got like on like good nights, like I would work Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and I'd walk away with like $200.
Those are busy nights.
Yeah, so it was like cool, but it was also like we'd be there till like 2 a.m. But it was always fun because you know, we were just kids. Like it was me, Jay Black, and then this another guy named Sam, and we would just rap and bust tables and like, you know, BS around and steal ice cream and like, you know what I mean? Like I remember like Sam used to like count the money at the end, and we would just like steal a bunch of stuff while he's counting money and dip. And
what do you spend that money on in high school, like, or that age range?
So I was giving my mom some bread, and then I was buying I don't really know what I was spending my food.
Yeah, the food that you were stealing,
basically.
Yeah,
I was basically giving them my money and bus tickets, and I think like I would spend it on like what I really was spending it on was like recording. Sometimes like we had in-house recording, but like if we ever needed something, we would do that, and then maybe like clothes every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I think the major thing I probably spent my bread on was CDs, because at the time we had to press stuff up. So I would
your own CDs. Yeah.
So we would.
I was like, I bought CDs in high school too. I'm with you. And
actually, that too. Yeah. Actually, I would skip school and cop CDs, and also like we had to do the production. So it's like, all right, well, you need $300 for 500 CDs. So it's like, all right, well, cool. So I would bust tables, stash it away, and then we would go and get the production. We'd go grab the CDs, and I just either would sell them for $1 or I just pass them out.
So King of Miami is now out.
It's out.
Where does that take you?
The school starts talking about me a lot more. And it only really lives in the school. I pressed up like 200 copies, and I just passed them around. And then my boy Will Notes, who I was working with at the time, takes it to his dad. His dad takes it to another guy who is like, yo man, like he's got some connections. He knows like the heavy hitters, and he knows in Miami, and he knows and he used to bodyguard, and he's got relationships with Swiss, and you know what I mean, like, so I think he wants to manage you, and he'll take you to the top. So I'm like, shit, all right, let's do it. This is my chance.
Yeah.
And we meet. I meet with him, his partner, and he meets me and my mom, and at Outback Steakhouse. And
was Sam there?
Sam was there, and Sam was like, I told Sam like, hey man, I'm coming in, what I'm saying, I think these guys might manage me, and they can help me get a record deal. And he was like, all right, cool,
I'll give him the good table.
Yeah, he's like, all right, we'll take care of you. And so he takes care of us. Shouts to Sam, and they gas us up, and they're like, yo, your son's very talented, we really like him a lot, I'm gonna be very honest with you, like, I have a lot of relationships because of what I've done, and blah blah blah, fluffs it up. End of the day, it doesn't end up happening. My mom's like, nah, you're not getting into this is like 5 years. And I was pissed, what I mean? So I'm like, I don't care if it's 5 years, let's just do it.
Right.
This is my chance.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the contract was like whack.
Yeah, it was terrible. So we didn't.
But at the time, you don't understand that.
Not
You're
at
just
all.
like, yo, these guys are my pathway to success right here.
Yeah, it's like, yo, you're blocking my dreams,
right.
Mom. And
right.
my mom is just like, nah, and I like lashed out. I think that was like the beginning of like me and my mom like having issues and just like going back and forth. It was like, and also I was like 16, so it was gonna happen regardless, But that was definitely the start of.
So wasn't losing at video games?
Nah, not at all.
Okay, but maybe.
I think maybe like it was the spark. It was like the like.
You don't have to make me feel good about my therapy here. I'm like, oh, maybe that was the start, and you're like, no, but you don't know what.
It was like I'd say like video games was kind of cool because I liked the fact that my mom, like deep down, like she played with me. So it's like, oh, you know what, this is cool. Mm-hmm. But like for real, like the when shit started hitting the fan was like when that contract against signed.
Right. So how'd you move forward?
I mean, I kept doing the same shit. I was just going to the studio recording, and I believe this is 2010, so I'm still working. I mean, 2010, Jesus Christ, 2007, and I'm a junior in high school. I'm recording a lot more, and I discover Dat Piff. And Dat Piff becomes this thing. And I'm like, holy shit, I can just upload this shit and people will just like it. And
well, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Well, that's in my mind, like,
or
at least hear it, you know. And I'm like, well, at least like I can. This is a whole new pathway to like different people, you know. In the process of like after King of Miami or whatnot, I started this shit called Rhyme for Thought, and that was like one of like my. That was when I was like, okay, yeah, let's get it going. Like we can just put out tapes and we'll just get cracking. And so I meet my barber at the time, and he's like a dude who just came from Jersey, and he becomes like a super major supporter. And he's like, I'm gonna play your music in the shop every day, and you getting free cuts, and you just keep doing you. And I'm like, all right, cool. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, man, that's like my G. So I'm like, all right, cool. So he has my support. He's like playing the music for like customers coming in and stuff. I'm like using Dat Piff more. So we're like dropping more material. And then that all kind of culminates into Survival of the Freshest.
Yes. Okay. So this is all I really wanted to talk about.
Oh my God.
Okay. So Survival of the Freshest, for people who don't know, was a reality show competition.
It was.
On what channel?
So I don't know if it might have been a channel, actually. I don't know what channel it was, but I just remember there was like a lot of noise because it was by Jermaine Dupri, and he started Tag Records,
right,
from Tag Body Spray.
Yeah, yeah.
And he like his first artist was like Q the Kid.
Right.
And they had like these commercials where it's like, I am him. So I was like, I saw it and I was just like, all right, I guess this is what Jermaine's doing now. I didn't really care. I was just like, whatever. It's on TV. You see the commercial over and over and over. It's cool. Whatever. I promise I wasn't thinking about it, but
wait, but Queen Latifah was also involved, right?
Nah.
I'm gonna look it up.
Not at all. I think it was like,
it was definitely him. I know that, but
she might have been a silent investor.
Yeah.
So
okay, so you know Jermaine Dupri, you know Tag Records.
I do.
And Survival of the Freshest is. How did they find you?
So at this point, you know, I'm dropping my stuff, and that's what I'm consumed with. I'm just like, I'm just gonna keep dropping stuff. You know what I mean? People won't hear me, whatever. And so I was living on my own at the time. I was like 17. Me and my mom had like fell out. 17 going on 18, and you know she kicked me out, and it was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm gonna stay on my own. So I'm staying with like some coworkers from Outback Steakhouse, and I meet up with my boy Jonathan. I meet up with him. God bless his heart. He's passed away, but he picks me up because he used to live across the street from where I recently moved to, and he was rapping as well, and he had equipment as well. So I would go over there and do songs with him. And then one day I went over with him, and he was like, yo, man, they having this Survival of the Freshest competition this Sunday, man. You should go to Miami and just kill it, dog. And I'm like, I'm gonna fucking survival. Fuck out of here. I'm not doing that shit. He was like, yo, I'm just saying, man, you go and do it. Shh. I'm like, whatever. All right. So Sunday comes. I'm having a terrible day. I like lost a lot of money. I bought some groceries that weren't that good. I think like I lost my job around that time, and I was painting my room blue, and it was a bad blue too. It wasn't even like, you know,
it was a sad blue.
It was like the shiny blue. So it was like just really awkward. It was just like, why is my room like this?
Like candy paint?
Yeah, it was stupid.
Did you figure that out like after you painted it?
Yeah, I was like, this is terrible. And I was like, why didn't anybody advise me? I was like 17. Like, they probably just like, yeah, we'll give him this super glossy paint. We're gonna upsell him for like $70 a can. And so I'm painting my room. I have paint on my hoodie, and my barber calls me, and he's like, yo, QU, where you at? I'm like, yo, man, I'm painting my room. And he's like, yo, man, stop all that. So we gonna go out there to Miami? And I'm like, yo, man, like, I'm not going to Miami for the Survival of the Freshest thing. I'm just not doing it. He's like, yo, fuck that. We out. I'm sending my sister to get you. So his sister comes and gets me and drops me to the barber shop. My barber closes the shop early, you know, gets his gun, bottle Hennessy, and his weed, lights up. He's like, yo, we out. We speed over because we're late. And I'm just like, yo, man, are we really about to do this? He's like, yo, QU, man. Like, we just gonna go out here. We gonna see what's up. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, man. So
he didn't have any money on you, right?
No money on
this
me.
was just like he believed in you.
He believed in me. He was just like, yo, you the greatest. He told me that from the beginning. And
he brought his gun?
He brought his gun, man. He's from Jersey, man.
It's survival of the freshest.
Right. And by the way, I looked it up. It was not a TV thing. So it was a tour. He would go around the country, and it was like a freestyle competition, like on tour.
Yeah. Okay. So the first one he did was New York City. And it was with like Homeboy Sandman, who I was a big fan of at the time, because
very lyrical,
and I was all on that, right? So it's like Philip Orange head. I'm just like, oh, this is Homeboy Sandman. He's just gonna. So I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I might try it out. But so we go out there. My barber just takes me. He's just like, yo, we out, man. And he just believed from the beginning. He always used to like take me to open mics when I was releasing music. He would take me to poetry lounges, and I became like a poet at one point, because that was the only avenue we had to like get our raps off.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. He believed from the beginning. He would like, whenever I saw him, he would give me free cuts. He would put money in my pocket, put food on my, like, he was always there to be a support system. And so we go out there. I'm like number 45. So they only accept 60 MCs. So we get there, get in line. I'm number 45, and
your man's got his 45 in
his
pockets.
Yeah.
Yo, well, you number 45, and I got my 45. So we get there, and like, and I remember having paint on my clothes and everything, and like everybody's just done up, you know. It's like 2007, 2008. So everybody's got like chains and like business cards and, you know, girls and stuff, and I'm just like, oh man, all right, well, I guess we're gonna figure out what happens here. So they give us the rules, and DJ Irie and a couple other guys up there, and they're like, yo guys, so here are the rules. You rap for 60 seconds. You know what I mean? You get your bars off, keep it, you know, this is a community event, and don't curse. You curse, you eliminate it. So my G
106 and Park rules.
Literally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my barber was just like, oh, QU, you got this. And I'm like, all right, man, we gonna see. So we're just around. We're just like walking around, and everybody's just exchanging numbers and stuff. And like everybody's going on, and you know, there's a couple guys that are pretty dope. And, you know, there's a bunch of guys who are getting eliminated and stuff. So I go on, I get, and and I do great. They have like this thermometer or whatever that gauges your sound, and so I got one of the highest audience applause, whatever my jigger is. I make it to the semifinals, and then I make it to the finals. And so the finals is like, all right, so this is it. It's me and this other kid. Now this other kid was like dope. Like, he was super dope. Like, at that time, he was nicer than me, in my opinion. I was like, yo, this guy's nice.
Yeah.
But what made me win was simply the fact that
your man had a gun.
Yeah. And he pulled him to the side and said, we get this far to come this far. What's funny is, like, he actually only spent half his time. So that might be, like, a real thing. But, he gets on. The only thing that I feel like the reason why I won was because he it wasn't like his type of beat. You know what I mean? I could tell like that wasn't his like that wasn't normally what he does. And it was like a double time thing. And I was just ready for that, because I was just rapping on anything at that time. And I had the verse that I was gonna rap for that beat, because I knew they were gonna ask me to rap on it. And so I just get on and I black out, and they're like, yo, Quest wins. And my barber is drunk, and he's just like, yeah, QU, I told you he's gonna win. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And they give me a $5,000 check.
Whoa.
I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? And like,
you weren't even supposed to be there that day.
I wasn't even supposed to be there.
And you get crowned the king of Miami.
I get crowned the king of Miami. And the
somewhere
freshest
Sam
of the
is like furious.
Yeah. Wait, so what does this mean for you besides like money in your pocket?
So
was it a big check?
It was like one of those big checks. What's funny is we were like taking pictures and everything. They gave me an interview, and they were like, all right, you're the one who won in Miami. So there's 11 other finalists from different cities, and you know, Jermaine Dupri is going to go over every single one, and he's going to pick one. And then from there, you'll get a demo deal, and you get to record with him, and then you'll be able to possibly get a record deal at So Def. So
wait, so when you get the big check,
yeah,
they give you a tiny check too, right?
Nah. So I get the big check, and this random big dude, I'm like about to walk out with. He's like, "Yo, you know that's just for like props, right? Let me get that real quick." You know what I'm saying? They gonna send you the real check, and later on. I'm like,
So
all right, cool.
You don't get to take the big check back in the car?
Nah, not at all, man. They just took it back, and I didn't get the check until 2 or 3 months later.
2 or 3 months?
Yeah, they sent it to my they sent it to my address. So I was just like, okay, I won this. This was cool, and there's a couple connections I made.
But you still got to go back to work.
Yeah,
and you don't get to keep the big check.
I don't keep the big check.
That's very frustrating.
Actually, I moved back in with my mom, and that was that. It was like, okay.
You went from the high of winning this competition, and they're talking about you signing to So Def, to knocking on your mom's door and saying, "I'm back."
Yeah, back in your so bed.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Or is it sofa Def?
It's what happened, man. It was like, yo, you don't have any money, you don't have a job, you need to go home. So I was like, all right, well, I told my roommates, I'm like, hey guys, I can't afford this. And it's funny because it was like only $300 a month, but it's like, hey, I can't afford this. And I'm like, yeah, we understand, man. So,
and just let's paint the picture. You graduated high school at this point?
I was about to.
Okay, about to graduate high school.
Yeah.
Are you planning to go to college?
I was planning to go to college. So at this point, I was about to graduate. I think actually no, I think I did graduate. And I was gonna go to college. I did a semester. I did a semester at the Broad Community College. Didn't work out. I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna spend this money on marketing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. I already got to pay rent. I'm not about to do this.
So where'd you go?
So I went back to my mother's, and I remember the craziest thing happened. So Dat Piff, I put maybe like 3 tapes on there, and I was just like, oh, this is getting old, man. I don't really know, like, unless I like buy this like exclusive thing that they have, like where you get promoted around the site, like this isn't gonna really do anything for me. So I was in a down period, but then this random guy that I met at the So Def thing was like, he like AOL chatted me, or instant messenger. He was like, yo man, like I think you should really like start looking at like Ill Roots. And I'm like, what the fuck is Ill Roots? And he was like, yo, it's this blog, man, and like this kid named Mike Wax runs it, and yo, they have like a whole community of dudes who just like listen to like real music. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I go to Ill Roots, and it blows my fucking mind. I'm just like, who the fuck are all these people? And then he's just like, yeah, go to Nah Right, man, and 2 Dope Boys, and like I'm like, what the fuck, Drake raps? Because I was a Degrassi fan, but I wasn't like.
You knew him before. You knew him just from Wheelchair Jimmy.
Yeah, because we had Noggin, and I was just like, damn, why is Aubrey rapping? Like, this is crazy. Like, why does he raps? Like, and at first I was like, oh, wow, this guy's really good. Like, and that's how I started discovering, like, so I was just downloading tapes and stuff, and just being like getting consumed in that world, because it was like fascinating to me that all these guys that were kind of like me were like creating audiences for themselves. So he hits me on AIM, and he's just like, yo man, I know Mike Wax, man, like I'm gonna put you in touch with him, and I'm gonna send him some of your songs. And so he sends it to Mike Wax, and Mike Wax is like, yo, this guy's dope. And Mike Wax hits me up, and he's like, yo, you're dope, man, let's do a mixtape together. Because Mike Wax at the time was doing like a shit ton of mixtapes.
Yeah.
And so we do Where's My Rhyme Book. I put it together in like 2 weeks, and we promote it, and he puts it out, and he's like, yo man, check out this new rapper I found from Miami, Florida. His name's Quest, man, you guys should check it out. It gets like 500-600 downloads, and that's the most I'd ever done. And people are like commenting and being like, yo, I love this song, and I love this.
How much are you refreshing that page?
Every day I stayed on there till like 4 a.m. And they're like, had my MySpace link up at the time, and I was just like, what the this is crazy. And I became addicted. I was like, all right, let's do it.
So every good comment is the best thing in the world, and any negative one is like stabbing you in your heart.
Literally, man, like literally. But I didn't care. I was just like, dog, like people can hear my shit, let's get it. So but this 2009, and now I'm like, all right, cool. Like I finally get the check, and I get another job, and me and my mom were kind of on okay terms. And I move in with my cousin, and I'm just like releasing shit, and I start emailing every blog ever, like Two Dope Boys on Smash, ExclusiveZone.net, the whole NMC cartel.
Yeah.
I'm just like, hey guys, my name's Sylvan Lacue. My name's Quest. Here are a couple of my songs that I would just like for you guys to check out. Two Dope Boys. Shake responds immediately, and he's just like, yo man, you're dope, I'm gonna post you. And I'm like, yo, that's ill. And people are hitting me up like, yo, how did you get? And I'm like, I don't know, I just emailed them. Like, so I see Cole and this whole Double XL freshman thing is happening, and like Corey Guns and like Asher Roth and Mickey Fax and Kid Cudi, and I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? I'm from Miami, nobody knows about this shit, so I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? This is crazy. So I'm just like, yo, I want to be like these guys. I gotta get in. Like, there's got to be a way for me to get in this shit. So I'm just dropping freestyle, 3 freestyles a week, of fucking mixtape after mixtape. And that was my hustle all of 2009. I saw what Drake did, and you know, Drake for us was like, yo, he's one of us. Like, he's just a kid who wasn't supposed to be like great and got in, and like it was like a dream. And the way he explained shit was such a dream, and I think that's why we resonated, because it was a dream for us too. It was like, fuck, like he made it in, and this is what it feels like, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's just what I wanted. And 2009 was like just a whole bunch of emailing and trying to release a bunch of stuff.
So you're still down in Miami. Do you feel like this big separation from New York, from LA, and from Atlanta?
Not really. I didn't understand it. I was just like, people can hear my stuff, and that's all I cared about. And I wasn't really thinking about anything else. I thought, man, if my stuff was popular enough, then that would happen. I would just,
someone will find
something.
you.
I didn't really understand like geographical relevancy, or you needing to be like show face and meet people and stuff.
Did you cold email any artists?
No. I was just, it was really just blogs. Yeah. I didn't really know how to. I think I just understood earlier on that, like, hey man, I'm not gonna get a Mickey Fax verse or a Charles Hamilton verse. Like, I was just like, these guys are already there, but you know, maybe if I can get my weight up, you know what I mean, they can respect me down the line. And that's all. That for me, that was just it. Cause I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna? I mean, there was certain artists that I started working with that were kind of on my level. Like XV was like one of the first artists that really like was like, yo, I mess with you.
Crazy.
Yeah, man. That was around the time where he was dropping the first tape that really popped with him in 2009. I can't remember, but Everybody's Nobody. Yeah, Everybody's Somebody. Everybody's Nobody. Nobody is Somebody. Yeah. So him, this kid named Pressure with 2 Z's.
Oh yeah, that's do you know who that is? Okay, so that's Elliot Wilson's brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Pressure,
who, by the way,
was
in
our
some of our videos. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Shout out to Steven Wilson.
Yeah.
Yo, shouts to Pressure, man.
Yeah.
He was. We did a couple records together. I did a record with Donnie Goines.
Yep, totally. Harlem.
Yeah, man. I did a record with Ro Ransom.
We saw him last night.
Yeah, back when he was Nero, and that's like one of my best friends.
Oh, Ill Roots.
Also,
right,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and Ill Roots. So like,
but you understand, like, no, but like you were at Mercury Lounge last night.
Yeah.
And Ro Ransom just walked down Houston and said, "What's up to us?"
That's crazy.
Yeah. Last night.
I didn't even get to see him, but I definitely I bought him a ticket because I know how he gets. He'll be like, yo, man, like, I forgot. So I'm like, nah, you ain't gonna forget this time. So just come through. And my boy Treason as well, who was also, he was from Cleveland, but he was making a lot of rounds out here as well. And so just doing that, man. And, you know, when I made On Smash, I was like, fuck. And then when I made Nah Right, I was like, oh, shit. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's on. Like, it was just like, because I think definitely Nah was over there too. It was just
totally.
Yeah.
It was a crazy time, man.
Do labels start reaching out to you?
No. I started working with this guy named Kevin Fairbanks.
Okay.
He did a lot of freelancing. I think he did like a lot of freelancing for All Hip Hop and a couple articles. And no labels are really reaching out, but there's only one label that ends up like really reaching out, and it's Atlantic. And it's not really an A&R at the time. It's an A&R assistant, I believe, and her name is Amanda Berkowitz. So Amanda Berkowitz, who became later an A&R at Atlantic and then at Epic, and then kind of deviated and started doing managing, was like, yo, just heard of Sylvan, think his stuff is really cool, you know, would like to bring him out to New York for a meeting. And I'm in Miami at this time. I was living on my own. 2011, I'm like maybe a janitor at this time. Best job ever.
Best job ever.
Best job ever. They gave me a cart. They gave, they didn't boss me around. They gave me my assignments.
How many bloomin' onions do you get?
Yo, none.
Wait, as two guys who used to do a lot of mopping, do you know the correct way to mop?
Yes, you have to. A lot of people. What I start is on the edges, and then I start on the edges, go all the way around, and then sweep back and forth to where I originally started. That way you don't backtrack.
No.
You don't backtrack.
No, the thing is you have to mop forward so that there's some pressure on it, because mopping back and forth, all you're doing is spreading some shit.
Damn, that's what they told me to do. Dower. So, so I'm like, they're like, we want to fly you to New York. So Amanda flies me to New York. And I'm like, what the fuck? This
First
place
time?
is real, yeah. I'm like 21. I go to 145th and Lenox, and I'm like, what the fuck, dog? This is 145th and Lenox.
Did you see Un Casa?
I didn't see Ukasa, but I'm like, what the fuck? And I go to Marcy. I'm like, dog, this is Marcy. Those
You were going all over.
Yeah, man. And then, but that was like later on. That was. Yeah, so the first place I went to was obviously the office.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, these buildings are crazy. And I go to Atlantic, and I remember they put us in a hotel, and we went outside and like got food at 3 a.m. It was just like a cool thing. And we had a meeting with Daryl Jones, I believe, which was big for me because he was the one who signed Lupe. And so we have this meeting, and Daryl Jones is like really dope, super cool. He's asking me questions. He asks me to freestyle, and then he asks me who's my favorite rappers. I tell him, son, Lupe, and then he just starts telling his Lupe stories. He tells me the story behind Lasers and the cool, and how he came to his apartment in Chicago and was like, yo, I want to give you like First and 15, and I want to create your vision. So I play him some records. He goes to a man. He's like, yo, so you guys get 3 or 4 original dope records. Bring them back to me. Let me take them over to my peoples, and let's get this done. I feel like he can be like, one of the last ones to get a really good deal before this shit starts hitting the fan. I didn't know what that meant, but he was just like, yo, this shit's about to change. I think he could be one of the last ones. I'm like, all right, cool. I go back home. They send me 3 records. I cut them, mix them, master them. You know what I mean? Send them back to her. They love it. Nothing happens. And I was like, all right, cool.
Were you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, well, I get it. Like, it's like, well, this is, like, I understand. Like,
I would have been devastated.
Well,
Yeah.
at this point, I saw a way for people to hear me, so I didn't really care about like at that point a deal. I mean, I would have loved one, but
Yeah.
I was like, well, people hear me, and that still meant a lot to me, and it still does today. But that was at that time, that was still enough for me. And then like I went back and I did this one tape that was A&R'd by her and this collective with Ton, my boy Ton Nugent and Nick Billadello.
So I'm
Yeah,
Absolutely. And we do this record called Fear Not Failure. It's like a dubstep thing. That was around the time where like dubstep was kind of started making this transition in, and they were like, yo man, if you do this, and plus Lupe is doing this, so you can kind of come in on this wave. And I was like, yeah, dope. It didn't really go that well. And I was also going through a tough time at home. I was living with my father around the time, and we kind of had this like really terrible divide, and I ended up going back to my mom's crib. And
well, you got evicted.
Yeah, I did get evicted. Yeah, so I had my own spot. He got out of jail, and I let him live at my spot, and then it became too close, like just in terms of like we were like sleeping in the same bed. So he was like, all right, man.
The race car?
Literally.
Yeah,
the race car bed.
yeah.
It was, feet to the head,
Yeah.
So like he's like, well, I'm getting this spot, it's a 2-bedroom house. It's in a nice area. And I'm like, all right, cool, man. We can figure it out. You know what I'm saying? My pops was also a drug addict. So I was always kind of like, I don't know. But at the same time, I love my dad. So I'm like, well, let's just figure it out. And then that lasted like 6 months, and he was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're getting evicted. I'm like, what the fuck?
My God.
So I leave him my car at the time, which was a 1993 Toyota with no windows, so he could like find a spot.
Sorry, what?
It was a 1993 Toyota
with
no windows.
No windows.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It had no windows.
The glass was gone.
It was gone.
Broken.
Yeah.
Not there.
Not there. No windows.
What happens when it rains?
It gets wet. But it was so busted that it didn't matter. It was just like, all right, whatever. Like, you just drive it. It got me from point A to point B. It was all I could afford.
You just like leave the keys in there because it's like, fuck it?
I mean, basically,
Yeah.
who really wants this piece of shit? No hubcaps. You know what I mean? But it worked. It was dope. It was ill. Like, I wasn't like mad at it.
No, it was like a Fred Flintstone car.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Did you have a stereo in there?
Yes, I had to. I put one in there.
Do you turn the music all the way up because like when the wind goes by on the highway, it's just like...
But also, you have to then take the stereo with you when you leave, right?
It's portable, so I would take it with me.
Yep.
And, then I would put it back in, make sure, it's not wet or anything, or I clean it out. Yeah, man. And so I gave him that, and I went back home, and I was just like, all right, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm 22. This blog shit is getting old. Like, I can't just keep, at this time, this was like my bajillionth mixtape, so I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do at this time?
You're still Quest.
I'm still Quest. And then
capital Q, capital ES.
Capital ES, lowercase t.
Yeah.
And around this time, I started building this relationship with a rapper named Logic.
Okay, so the Logic thing happens through 6?
No. So I didn't know 6 at the time. It happened through my intermediate manager at the time named Rhymestyle.
Okay.
Or Dino, but Dino Rhymestyle. He had like a podcast, and he used to like, interview up and coming talent, and he interviewed me, and we stayed in contact, and we would just do shit together. So he was like, yo, man, this is like 2011, 2012. He was like, yo, you gotta like check out this kid named Logic. He's making a lot of waves. He's getting a lot of views. He's doing his thing. This is like 2000. Yeah, it's around 2011. So I'm like, all right, cool. I check him out. I'm like, yeah, he's cool. He's dope. And that was that. And then Logic reaches out to me. He's like, yo, you're super dope, man. Like, do you record your own shit? I record my own shit. I'm like, do you do this? I do this. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is, it's
do you Rubik's Cube? I Rubik's Cube.
Rubik's Cube, bro.
Like,
yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I do. And he's like, bro, we're going to be friends. I'm like, yeah, I guess we're going to.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yo, everybody does this, right? Like, it's the game. So,
right.
I don't meet him. We just stay in contact, and I start seeing like he has like a lot of real fans on social media,
right? And
I had never seen anything like that. For me, it was like blogs and like respect and like this NMC thing and just like being, So, but he was the first guy where I was like, wow, these guys they just like your music, and you got a lot of views, and this is crazy. So, I was back home. I think I got the opportunity to do 5 dates with him in 2012 on his Visionary Music Group tour with Tayyip Ali.
And where?
In San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco.
That's dope.
Yeah,
that's not like just like Orlando, Tampa,
Nah,
Key West.
Not at all. They were just like
they flew you out.
They flew me out. Well, no. I think my manager flew me out.
Okay, yeah, well.
Yeah, my manager flew me out, and then what happened was like I got out there, I had no job, and I had like $175 on my EBT card, and I was like, all right, cool. If I can just like stretch my meals and sleep on the floor, I'll be fine. And it was like the best experience I had in my life because I was getting in front of crowds that just cared about the music. Like I was in LA performing. And I'm like,
how big are these venues?
It's like 500-600 caps, like 200 to 300 or 500 to 600. So he did the Roxy, and I like opened for him at the Roxy.
Did you have a DJ with you?
No. So Six was DJing for him, and he was also DJing for me.
That's dope.
And I was just like doing my little tapes, and the people I was working with at the time, like Amanda, Nick, and Ton, they like pressed up like 200 CDs for me and a couple shirts, and I was just like, man, this is crazy. I would get off stage and people would want like my autograph and want to take pictures. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is real?
Yeah,
like,
real life.
This is crazy. And I asked if I could do the entire thing. I couldn't do the entire thing. It was okay. They sent me back home. I had like new social media followers, so I was just like, okay, you know, maybe I should just kind of keep going and keep picking it up. So at this point, I'm at home. I'm working from home for this telemarketing company called Arise with like AT&T and shit. And I get a call from my manager, and he's like, yo, Logic's manager is going to call you in like, 30 minutes. I'm like, all right, cool. At this point, I'm in Orlando with my ex at the time. We're going to go to Disney World. He calls me. He's like, hey, man, how you doing? Chris Saru. And he's just like giving me like the whole setup, and it turns into, and this was why I want you to be a part of Visionary Music Group. And I was just like, let's do it. Like, I don't have any other opportunities. I don't see any other way. And I think you guys are super dope. And I had a great time with you guys. I respect you guys a lot. So let's just do it.
Like, you made this decision at the Magic Kingdom.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, legitimately. It was like a dream come true.
Well, how was going to Disney after that?
Yo, it was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Like, you were just
insane.
like, oh my God, I'm a signed rapper.
Right.
Like, legit.
Cotton candy for everybody. Yeah.
Elephant ears for the entire
let's
crowd.
go.
So
They're actually Mickey Mouse ears.
Oh yeah, you're right. Actually, they are. It's insane. So I signed with them, and
And
I.
what does that mean for you? Does that mean like money up front? Does that mean like
Nah, they were just
they're gonna support your projects?
Yeah, they were just like, yo, you're gonna be a part of our clique. I want to put you on this tour with Logic called the Welcome to Forever tour. This is right around the time where he dropped that mixtape Welcome to Forever that basically kind of propelled him, and he just announced Def Jam, and so it was like surreal. So I was opening for him, this other kid named Castro, then this other kid named Skizzy Mars.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I was on tour. I got a box of shirts that had this thing that I was promoting called Nito. It was just whatever. And so that was my merch. And then I don't remember where I flew to, but it was 32 cities. And I was like, all right, boom, let's get this. And so I got to start off the show every night, and it was beautiful because it was like everybody was fresh, and I got to set the energy and tone. And I would sell t-shirts after, and I would meet fans because that's what Logic would do. Logic would do like a lot of meet and greets, and that whole experience was really dope for me because I got to learn about how things rolled, how tour managing went, meeting fans, selling merchandise. And Logic also was just like going through the like, yo, I'm on, like I'm a signed artist, everybody wants to meet me. Oh, no ID needs to get in. I'm like, what the fuck, no ID, dog? Like trying to contain that, like meeting music execs that are like around, that are like, oh yeah, man, yo, congrats for doing your thing, and you'll be here, you know what I'm saying? And so that was just a really great time, and I actually made no money off of that, but I made maybe like $500, but still, best experience one of my best experiences of my life.
Right.
And
32 cities, and that was great for me because that's how I started learning how to really gain fans manually. Yeah,
because it wasn't like I felt like that experience made me work for people to care about me, because you had to get on stage and present yourself and rap your raps and win people over every night, and it was like great training, and I learned stage presence and crowd interaction and feeling out the crowd, like, so. But
that thing that you learned from Logic too, of meeting people and that real life experience, is something that like completes that sale. They're like, oh, I like this person, I'm going to invest in this person.
Exactly. And it was just a great experience. I went back home, and I started working on this project called Searching Sylvan in 2014.
You're still Quest.
Still Quest.
Yeah.
But you're searching Sylvan.
But I'm searching for Sylvan. And I got to that point because I was like, oh, wow, okay, there's an audience. They're saying, Visionary was like, yo, we're going to put you on another tour, the While You Wait tour. And before we do that, and then after that, we're going to drop your, debut project with Visionary Music Group. And we're going to do this whole hot new hip hop thing, because hot new hip hop was super popping at the time. We're going to get your SoundCloud going. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, all right, you know what? This could be like my breakout mixtape or whatever. So let me just tell my story. And let me just tell like how Like, I went from being at my mom's crib and not knowing what the fuck I was gonna do to all of a sudden being like a part of this label and touring the country, you know, like, and how that happened. And I think also like Good Kid, Mad City was popping around that time, so I was very influenced by that and a few other projects. And so I created it, and I worked with Six, the producer, on a bunch of records. My boy Will Notes on a few records, and then a couple other scattered producers.
And Jermaine Dupri was back in the picture.
Jermaine Dupri came back and was like, "Yeah, what's going on, man?" But
no, because he did the intro to his song.
He did. He sure enough did.
Struggle rapper.
Well, funny enough, I just chopped a clip of the video of him announcing that I won that whole thing and just put it in there because it never happened. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna like let out my whole frustration on this struggle rapper thing, and you know, just let people know like the struggles that it's taken to get to this place.
Yeah.
And so we put this tape together. They do the whole promotion, and it makes a pretty cool splash. Like, it's the first tape where people really connect and resonate with me, and they're like, yo, this project means a lot to me. And I started to realize what my voice was, but I didn't really. I just was kind of like, yeah, it was supposed to feel this way because I wanted you guys to know like what was going on, but I didn't realize my responsibility. And I do the While You Wait tour, and that's like 33 or 35 cities. You know, socials are going up. And it's like, yo, all right, you got your date, you got your project. This is the project that's kind of defining. So like, all you need is one more. And, you know, I was starting to get like a lot of buzz and having conversations about XXL Freshman. And like, it was just like, yo, man, this is it. This is like your time. And this is 2014 too. I feel like this was like one of the last years where, you know, that sector of like new wave rap from like 2007 or 2008, 2009 was like gonna thrive. That was like that last year. Not saying that it's not going to again, but that was the last year of that section, right, that era. So everything seemed like it was just like, yo, this is it. This is what's gonna happen, you know? And that's what was set for. But I left. I definitely left the situation entirely.
Why?
There were a number of things that were going on. I think what it came down to though was, besides like the personal stuff, like between really me and management, it wasn't feeling right anymore. It was like, oh, this Quest thing doesn't feel good anymore. Logic just dropped Under Pressure. They had signed this kid named John Bellion, and he had just dropped his third tape and signed a Capitol. I'm like, these guys don't have enough bandwidth to really do what I need them to do because, you know, like it's going to take a little bit more work with me. And for me, it just wasn't feeling right. It was like Quest doesn't feel right. This whole rap thing doesn't feel right. Like I was becoming more of an artist, and I started thinking about my trajectory. I was like, well, man, like when it's because I was already getting it. I was already getting the attributes to like Logic and like, well, you know, he's only this because of Logic and he's only this because of Visionary. And I was like, well, is that my narrative? You know what I mean? Is that my narrative? Is my success because of someone else? And I started thinking about my heroes. And then I was like, man, I gotta dip. I have to dip.
How'd you let him know?
I talked to
Text.
Logic.
Oh, yeah.
So I talked to Logic first. I pulled him to the side. It's funny enough because when Logic dropped Under Pressure, I was kind of already feeling a little bit of angst, and I was feeling like disgruntled, and I was trying to talk to my manager at the time, Chris, about it, and it just felt like it wasn't really getting through. And Logic, I remember, had a performance, and he was just like, yo, man, you know, like if you want to leave, man, just leave. And I was like, all right, I guess. I didn't really tell you that, but I don't really know what's going on. And he's like, you know, man, people been talking like, you know, like, you know, you're starting to do this and do that. I'm just like, okay. So a week later, I sit down with Logic because out of respect, I'm like, yo, look, man, I think I'm gonna depart, and I'm gonna, you know, depart because of these reasons. And we talked for 3 hours, and we were in his crib in LA, and he was like, yo, man, like I respect it, you still got my support. Like I think, you know, Chris is gonna be a little, you know, upset, but like, you got my support. And I was like, all right, cool, man, as long as we're good, because at the end of the day, I'm not here if it's not for you, and I want to respect, I don't want to just pop up and, so I have a conversation with Chris. It goes terrible. It goes really terrible. It goes really terrible. And I left. It was bad. It was pretty bad.
Where'd you go?
I was living in San Diego at the time. I kind of mobbed in LA for a little bit in 2015. I shot some videos with my boy Jay, Jonathan Benavente, who I actually met on the While You Wait tour, who's now like the president of like our company, Wise Up. So like, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna shoot some videos from this album, and I'm gonna figure it out. You know what I mean? And like, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just knew like I was gonna figure it out.
How hard is it to give up? Because I assume like you leave the Quest stuff behind too.
At this time, I was still Quest for a little bit, but I definitely left. Like, it was like, yo, this is it. Do you want to walk through this door, or there's another road this way?
Well, because you have T-shirts out there with that name on it.
Yep.
And you have a million mixtapes and freestyles, and people know you as Quest. You just did 32 cities and then 33 to 35 cities.
Yeah.
And they're all like, oh yeah, Quest.
Yeah.
And now you're like, well, maybe not.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was like a very I like considered all of it. It was like, man, like my soul was like, yo, this isn't right. But like the overall like logical sense was like, yo, this is it, dog. Like, this is what you've been working for. Like, run through it. And I'm like, nah, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Like, it took a while, but like I was so consumed with like being heard and getting that chance that I wasn't really factoring in, how I wanted it. And that's okay. You know what I mean? That's fine. Like, everybody has like certain things. They get to certain levels and then they have realizations. So I leave. We have a bad falling out. Me and Logic fall out. I thought we had an understanding, and then we just didn't talk anymore. Rightfully so. He's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing.
So have you guys haven't not spoken since?
No, we haven't talked. I reached out recently though. I haven't even told anybody. It's crazy enough. I reached out and I DM'd him and I was like, "Hey man, just wanted to let you know that I'm proud of you, and God is with you always, and just keep spreading light." Because I just sold out my LA show and I felt a peace with that.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let me reach out and just mend that bridge, and whether you see it or not, like, it's good for me. So I leave. I'm like mobbing in LA. I got on chains. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of feeling myself a little bit. I still got a little clout. I got like this whole like vision, and then I start realizing very slowly that like this is gonna be fucking hard.
You don't have any infrastructure?
None. No infrastructure. I just got like a couple relationships and some people I met. No, nothing. I'm just in LA. I'm spending a lot of money, and I start working on my next project. And at this time, I go to Orlando. I go back home, and I'm getting more into coffee, and I'm spending more time around coffee shops, and I'm learning more about myself and the things that I love. And I go to this coffee shop in Orlando, Florida called Vesper, and I meet this kid named Bryce, who's a really good friend of mine. And one of the baristas there that I bought coffee from saw my real name and was like, "Oh, that's your real name?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So he's like, "Are you sure you want to keep going by Quest? Because Sylvan's pretty dope." And I was just like, I guess I'll take it into account. And so I was with my boy Lindsey J at the time. We were gonna go. He was the producer, and he was just like, I was just going over with him. I was like, "Yo, what do you think?" He was like, "Bro, man, if it feels right to you, then just go by your real name." And it felt right. And so I told the narrative. I linked up with my boy Tan. I was like, he was working at Visco at the time. I was like, "Hey man, I want to do this editorial piece, and I want to tell the story of my transition from my fans so that I can guide them through this process with me." And in my mind, I knew I was going to lose a lot of people, but it was like, yo man, like the people I do lose, like they weren't meant to be there from the start. So, and the people that ride with me, they're going to be my core. So I do the whole Visco piece, yada, yada, yada. My name is Sylvan Lacue. My next project's called Far Familiar. It'll be my debut album under my new company, Wise Up & Co. And Wise Up becomes like this new thing for me. Another derivative from Nas, but it's kind of from Takeover because it's like Smarten Up Nas, and I was like Smarten Up. Oh, that's cool. Wise Up.
And Nito came from Nas too, right?
It did. It actually did.
No, it didn't.
It actually did. Funny enough, Nito came from Nas because Nas had Bravehearts, and I think there was a freestyle from Jungle.
Man, you go deep. Like,
Yes.
There was a freestyle from Jungle, and he like rhymed something with Nito, and I was like, and I remember having that in my mind for a minute, and I just thought of this like absurd acronym, which was like never ever allow any obscene. It was like ridiculous. It didn't even make any sense. But it definitely came from Nas. A lot of my early stuff just all came from like loving Nas and everything that was around him, and just emulating stuff.
Let going like God's son.
Legit.
so you start over again.
Yeah, start over again.
You're Sylvan Lacue now.
Yeah.
Like you've always been, but now you really realize it.
Yeah, man. I started spending a lot more time in Oakland, California because I fell in love and got prematurely engaged. And yeah, it's a thing.
Well,
yeah.
What's the difference between Quest and Sylvan Lacue?
Quest is basically like the journey to Sylvan Lacue. It's like that's really what, for me, rap and music was validation. It was like, oh, I can be heard. What I have to say is important, because growing up I felt like I didn't have an avenue to express myself and my thoughts were like valued. So rap was like, okay, if I could put my thoughts together like this, then it could be valued. What I have to say and what I have to express can be valued. And that created validation for me, but I was always like, yo, you got to do more, you got to be more, you got to do this and do that. And that became an ego thing. It became this like, it went from being pure to like, it never gets satisfied, and you never become satisfied with yourself. And so I felt like it was time to stop that and just really start finding the value within myself. And the first thing I could do was just go by my real name.
And did you find that the music reflected that?
Yeah, I felt like I wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody anymore. Before it was just like, yeah, man, I'm hot, I'm nice. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the next one. And then it just became more or less about, okay, this is what I'm going through. Searching Sylvan kind of scratched the surface of that. But my project after that, or my debut, Far From Familiar, was like, it shed everything. I didn't want to be known as like, it's like everything you thought before, like, oh, he's just going to be the next top rapper. It's like, nah, my name's Sylvan and this is what I'm into. And I took 2 years to like figure that out and create music I had never created before.
Now, Far From Familiar is about to come out, but it doesn't have that title yet.
Yeah.
It is going to be called So Help Me God.
Yeah.
Which is the same name as Kanye West was going to name his album.
Yeah. This is like early 2016. I remember we had the first single. I remember we announced it and we were all kind of like, yeah, man, So Help Me God. Like, like this is it. And then Kanye like put up some artwork and it was like, yeah, So Help Me God is coming. And I was like, oh, this is just.
Well, wait, was he promoting your album?
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, I was so taken back because it was like, it was also confusing because then he changed it again to like something obscure. And then he was like, I think I'm going to go back to the first one. And I was just like, what the
Why is this happening
what
to me?
is happening? Like, and then we just kind of got to a point where it's like, all right, man, maybe we'll just go with a different title. And then Far From Familiar came. And it was way more fitting, like So Help Me God was more internal, more of that struggle. But Far From Familiar was more like the overall encompass. Like, hey, this isn't anything that I'm used to. I'm trying to figure this out. It was like way more. It was just way more accurate.
Familiar.
Yeah, we ended up settling with Far Familiar. Well, not settling. It was still a great title.
Yeah.
We put it out, me and Jay and a few other people, and this was around the time where things were going from SoundCloud to like streaming. So I had to like relearn the game as well, which was like really hard and really like devastating at one point because you put all this investment into one avenue, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, game change, Spotify. Yeah. I'm like, what? Playlists, what, like, excuse me. So I had to relearn the game.
New relationships,
and even then I really didn't have any like that could like I had some relationships, but I didn't have like, it wasn't like I could just knock on like these doors. It was just like, all right, well, just figure it out. So we put out Far From Familiar, hired Audible Treats for the like press, and you know, it just became about. It was really more or less for my fans in terms of like, hey, this is where I'm going now, and it was good. It did good, did all right, but it wasn't what Searching Sylvan did, and that was hard. It was very hard, and rightfully so, right? You deviate from one lane and you do a whole nother, it's not going to translate like in the same way. Like, you're going to have to rebuild and restructure, especially if you don't have like a label to like put this whole thing behind it and make it, you know, bigger than, you know, what you could. So it was a tough time. We put that out. I was broke as hell in LA, staying with a friend who who like did tell his roommates I was staying there, and like yo, I was like, yo, man, is it cool like that I stay in LA, man, while I like try to figure out this Far From Familiar stuff? He's like, yeah, you cool, man, like just make sure. He's like, I'm like, yo, your roommates know? He's like, yeah, you good, man, don't worry about it. So I'm like, you know, like cooking dinner and like in their house and like on the couch watching TV, and everybody's cool. And then like one of the roommates has a breakdown about it. He's like, I don't know who you are. And I'm like, what? Like, did he tell you? Like, no, he didn't tell us anything. You know, I'm just like, oh man.
How long were you there for?
Like a month.
Yo, they should get free tickets to your LA
Literally,
show.
man.
Yeah.
I don't know where those guys are anymore though. I try to reach out to one of them, but I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, but you know, I left and I was broke, and I was staying on Jonathan's floor in Irvine, California. Jonathan was renting a couch. So I literally went to Irvine, and he was like, yo, man, I got you for like a week, but I literally can't do anything after that. Like, you would have to start paying rent. And so I was just like, all right, man, well, me and my ex at the time were really going through problems. She lived in Oakland. I moved to California partly because of music and partly to be closer to her because we were doing long distance from Miami.
This is before you guys were engaged or after?
Before.
Got it.
And so it was just like, all right, well, you know, what do you want to do? So in the midst of a lot of bleakness, streaming kicks in, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I got a few dollars. I can make a few things happen. And I take some of the money that I made from that project, and I put a down payment on a spot with her. Because I at that point, I was so over LA. I was just like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's industry. I just need a break. I just need to figure out. I need to recalibrate. You know what I mean? Like, I've been on this grind for so long, and I'm exhausted. Like, I just need to figure out. Like, I just need to reset.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went to Oakland, got a place on East 17th by Lake Merritt with my ex, and I got a part-time job at Blue Bottle Coffee, and I started learning how to become a barista because I loved coffee and I was spending so much money on it, and I was like, well, I might as well learn how to make this shit.
You only get one cup. You have to drink it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
At maximum. It was so dope though, man. It was like this new thing I was learning, and it was a community of like artists and everybody just, you know.
Do you do like the artisanal coffee? Like, you can like make like leaves or?
Yeah, I can make a Rosetta. I can make a heart. I can make doves. I can do the whole thing.
You take requests?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I'm like, hey, do you want this or that? You know, I know my milk textures, like, you know, almond steaming. Like,
wait, how long did you work at the place?
A year and a half.
Oh, okay, so that's like long enough that you can learn all that. It wasn't like.
Were you good at getting people's names right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you didn't like intentionally fuck them up?
Nah, man. I worked. I got lucky, man. Like,
it's a power play.
Because it was such a new world, dog. I moved to Oakland, and I started training to become a barista, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we want you to work at the kiosk, the first Blue Bottle ever, and it's a garage on Linden in San Francisco. So you could imagine, like, I'm like serving coffee in San Francisco. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I'm like making a commute from Oakland to San Francisco, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? In a good way.
Yeah.
It's like, how the fuck did I get here? So like,
This is the reset you needed.
yeah,
Like, you have a high school degree.
Yeah.
No college degree. You've been on a record label. Your latest project,
Tag Records.
Tag Records. Your latest record didn't do as well as you wanted it to. You left that old name behind.
Yeah.
And now you're behind a coffee station.
legitimately.
Did anybody ever recognize you?
A couple people did. They would come up and like, Sylvan? And I'm like, yeah. And
Oh, that's
like,
good.
Yo, what are you doing working here? And I'm like, I love coffee, and I really did.
By the way, that's dope. You're not saying this is temporary. I'm just like here for a minute. I'm just getting money. Whatever.
Or if somebody was like, "Yo, are you Quest?" and you're like, "No, nobody by that name works here." like turn away. You're just like, "No,
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
Right.
there's no Quest here. He's dead."
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gone forever. It was cool. It was like a reminder, like, oh man, people still care about the music.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did you?
I did. I just didn't know what I was gonna do next, and I just needed to do something in the meantime and feel inspired again and refresh and feel like I wanted to do it. 'Cause at the time I didn't want to, but I knew I was going to still do it because I love music.
Right.
You know, the love of music always kept me going. I was working at Blue Bottle, and I would work like three to 4 times a week, and I started, just serving up coffee and learning about it, and it was really cool. It was humbling. It was just like super like natural, and I would meet people and I would serve them up and just be like, hey man, what do you want? Like, double macchiato, blah blah, and it was a garage, so you could just literally lift it up and just, and you had a community of just, San Franciscoans who had been getting coffee there for like 10 years and had these amazing, beautiful stories and just been all over the world. So it was just so inspiring. And
it wasn't like New San Francisco, like all like white techie dorks with like a ton of money that like.
It is. It definitely was. But like, that I guess that shop had been around for so long that like there are so many other people who were just like, yeah, we only come here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was dope. And then I started working at the Blue Bottle in Berkeley and a few others.
Did you meet Lil B?
I didn't, unfortunately, man.
It's not too late.
It was I felt really bad working in Berkeley. It was a great shop. It still is. It's amazing. It's probably like the best shop I've ever worked at. But like, it was just like this pristine glass thing in the middle of like, it's like, damn, this is it's like this is really new. You know what I mean? The new shiny toy in like, the neighborhood.
Right.
But like, that whole experience was dope, and I would just this around the time where I started like producing and just trying to figure out what I wanted and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it.
And what did that culminate in?
So I was getting beats from people. I hated them. Went through a little bit of a depression. And I was just like, man, like, is this what music has kind of come down to? I was watching newer people, like, just start blasting by me. And, here I am, like, this kid that's been doing it forever. That just has to, I was, like, consistently just relearning, trying to keep up, quote, unquote. So my ex was just like, yo, you should just produce. You've been recording and engineering yourself forever. Like, you know this shit. You know what you want. Like, so I'm like, all right, cool. So I get an MPK Mini, download some sound kits, start fucking around, make a couple records, and that culminates to Best Me.
And how'd you know that worked?
I didn't. It wasn't even supposed to be a song. I had this whole my ex at the time was also like dabbling into the industry as well and getting her start. And so
as an artist?
No, as a manager.
Mm-hmm.
And she was managing a couple other artists at the time, and she was like, hey, you should do this thing with Master and Dynamic. So we would like play tag team, like, hey, I think you should do this, or hey, I think you should do this.
Master and Dynamics, the headphone company.
The headphones.
Yeah.
She was like,
shouts to them.
Shouts to them. They're super dope.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, hey, she was like, hey, I think you should do this, create a record, just to give yourself some like, life. Maybe if, the song, if you're not confident in the music, at least like the partnership will give it some validation until you can figure out what you want to do. Amazingly smart woman. So I was like, all right, cool. So we did a whole nother song, and it was called, I don't even know what it was called, but I did it. I completed it, and the guy that produced it didn't clear the record. He was just like, yo, man, you can't use this. Somebody else is using it. And I was like, what the fuck, man? I can't do this. And so I was just fucking around, and I had these drums, and I woke up the next morning, and shouts to Mick Jenkins.
Chicago.
Yeah, shouts to Mick Jenkins, because Spread Love came out. That song, Spread Love. And something about that song was like motivating for me. and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the hook or like, but it felt natural to me, and I was just like, all right, man, I'm just get back in. And so I created these drums, and I found this sample on accident, and because there was another sample over the drums, and I didn't like the sample anymore, and so I just found this one sample, and I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I have the beat on loop, like the beat as you hear it on loop, and I'm just asking them, I'm like, yo, what do you think of this beat? And they're like, yo, it's cool, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool, well. And so I just started putting the song together, and I wrote the first verse, and it was supposed to be last, but then I put it first, and then I did the hook, and I did the second verse and the last, and I was like, okay, this is a song, this could work, so let's just put it out, and I guess, you know, we'll see what happens.
And
like, it caught a wave. It was just like, I didn't get it. It was like very like, what? Like, I was like, oh, this is just another song. For me it was like, it was another song, like literally just another record. And I put it out through Master Dynamic and SoundCloud. We got it up on the streaming platforms, and it just started catching a wave, and I was just like, what's going on?
So you're saying that sometimes all the planning that you put in just won't work, and sometimes you just put it up and it goes.
It just goes. Sometimes it really does happen like that. It's just like the stories are real. Like the biggest songs, sometimes it's just records I just like, yeah, we just put it up. Like, I thought it was gonna be like, I literally thought, okay, this is enough to where like I could, if somebody gave me feedback, I could be okay with it.
So what did it mean to your career?
It was a refresh. It was like a complete refresh. And it was also it was like, okay, you know what? You might have something here. So I started paying attention to what people were saying about the record. And I also produced it. So I was just like, and I think I dropped a couple more records. I did a record with Xavier Omar called The Truman Show that did pretty well. And then this other record called Televised that did pretty decent. But Best Me was just taking a life of its own. And around this time, this was like 6 months after Far From Familiar. And I was just thinking, and I was like, I got to do something. I got to do something that like, that just like reshifts this narrative. You know what I mean? Because like I could feel what the narrative was going to become, and I was like, nah, we gotta shift this shit, because all you got in this is your narrative and your story that you tell.
Yeah.
And you got to tell it before somebody else tells it.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, let me go on tour, and let me just book my own tour. And I'd been around enough people and know the right people to contact to get in touch with the right venues to make it happen. So we put 8 cities together. I put 8 cities together, actually. It was Fort Lauderdale / Miami, Orlando, Houston, Chicago, Oakland, Oakland, Los Angeles, and I think there was one more that I can't remember. And so what I did was I called it the Loner Tour. I put on this like whole get up, like as if I was like a traveler. Got this green jacket, and had fans sign my jacket. And I booked a bunch of one ways, and I outsourced all that I needed in each city. So if I needed a DJ, or if I needed somebody to run merch, or if I needed somebody to do this or do that, I would just be like, yo, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And be like, all right, cool. And a lot of people just did it off the love. And I ordered merch, and I put it in a big suitcase, and I just wore it because I was wearing the same thing over and over. So I would just be like, yo, I'm here to set up my merch, do my songs. I would come on my jump drive, and we had about, give or take, about 90 to 100 kids come out to each show.
Crazy.
And that was like motivating to me, because I got to see that, you know, there were people who still cared, and they loved like what I was doing and cared about the narrative, you know, and that was enough for me. It was like, all right, people do still care about what I.
And that's not like love, like pressing play on Spotify love. This is buying a ticket and taking the time to go see you love.
Exactly. So it was just like this. It was just really beautiful, man, to see that like these kids were like coming out, and how much like what I was saying meant to them. And so after the Loner Tour, you know, we documented it. I framed the jacket because everybody that I met signed it. So it was like, yo, like, thank you guys. Like, this is what this culminated into. Like, you know, this was solely off the strength of you guys and just a vision, and thank you. And so 2017 rolls around. We put out the Best Me video. I remember me and Jonathan had like a crazy conversation, and we were just like, at this time we were like doing videos like for the last album, and we were going all out, like, yo, let's pull out the stops, let's just get a crazy treatment, and then it would like, you know, result to like 20,000, right? And we'd be like, and so I was like, yo, we gotta dumb this shit down, man. And I think I owe a testament to Jaden Smith, because I saw the Fallen video and I was like, why do I like this video so much? And he's just dancing and it's just a really great song, and I'm like, holy shit, I've been doing this the wrong way. So I hit up Jonathan. I'm like, Jonathan, fuck treatments, dog. Just get your camera and let's just shoot some really cool shit, and let's just start putting out records with the video and just make sure it looks really great. So Best Me was the first like testament of that. So we put out the Best Me video. We shot it in 45 minutes. We went to Big Sur in California, and I rode on the back of a truck and I just rapped the whole song in one take. And he edited it in one day. And we put the video out, and it was doing pretty good. I think we did like 20K in like a month. So I'm like, all right, cool. At this time, I'm building a relationship with Saba. Saba just dropped the Bucket List project. I go on tour with him. That's like a whole new revamp. I'm like, damn, this is like, you know, redemption. I get another chance to be in front of crowds and gain new fans with a whole new artist. And around this time, Best Me just starts oddly picking up on the video side, and it like jumped to 10,000 views in like a day, and I was like, oh, that's pretty odd, you know. But you know, I'm not thinking much of it. It's like 30,000. The next day, 40,000. I'm like, okay. And then 50 and 60 like within a week, and I'm like, yo, I think something's happening like with our video. I thought like it was maybe rigged, so I started hitting my boy Rhymestyle. I'm like, yo, man, I think this video is like rigged, man. Yeah. And he's like, nah. And so we get to 100,000 in like a month, and I'm like, okay. And then Best Me hits 1 million on Spotify, and I'm like, all right. And we finished the tour, and we had just shot the Grateful video. And then so I'm like, okay, well, we'll test it out and see, like, you know, is this a fluke? You know, maybe it is a fluke. So we dropped. Or
maybe you're buying views and.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, fake acting like I don't know what's really going on.
You're like, gee, guys.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Anybody else seeing this?
Yeah.
I'm saying, man. Also, at this time, I'm like I'm managing myself because, like, you know,
you want that 15%,
basically.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And I wanted to know my shit. I was like, all right, man. Like, I've dealt with enough people to know that I should just probably know what I'm doing first. And so I get off of the Saba Bucket List tour, and Best Me's doing great. We put out Grateful, and it's doing great. And I'm producing all this stuff. And at this time, I'm talking with Amir Abbasi, or Blame the Label.
Yeah. He's been mentioned on this podcast a couple of times.
Yeah, you know, ever so slightly.
Yeah.
But I'm having more serious talks with him. Met him in 2015 at South by Southwest. He doesn't remember that. 2016. It's okay. It was super brief. And
you were Quest then, so why would he remember?
Yeah, I was definitely Quest for real. And then 2016 came and Far From Familiar happened, and I went to All Def Digital, and I remember him reaching out to me and being like, man, I really like this album, and that meant a lot to me.
And we've never met before.
And we've never met before.
Totally new guy,
whatsoever. Right. And so I go to the office, I meet him. He's like, man, it's great. I love it. Like, just keep going. And I'm like, all right, cool. And so I don't know what really sparked. I think we had like this thing called live sessions at All Dev Digital, and I took a bus from Oakland to LA and then went back that same day because there's just a bunch of artists that were dope that I was like, all right, I need to be mentioned amongst these guys like Masego and Diet Jack and a few other guys, Kembe X, who's a really good dude. So I go there, I see Amir, I rap, I leave because I got to catch my bus, and I didn't make my bus either. I had to like wait for the next one. And so I just start thinking, I'm like, yo, man, I think I really want this guy to like manage me. And so I hit him up a few times. I'm like, hey, man, can I meet with you, or can we like link up or whatnot? We finally get some time in like Oakland or San Jose. I take a Uber out there. We have like a 3-hour long conversation. It's really dope. I don't really ask him to manage me, but I think after tour or the Saba tour is when like we really were like, all right, yo, let's do this thing. And I didn't really know the extent of like his influence. I just knew he was a dope person, and I knew he had like some connections, but I was just like, yo, he's great.
You know what would have been a great help is if at the time he had recorded one of these podcasts, and then you would know his full story.
But it's so crazy because, I mean, have we asked?
If he listens to the podcast, he'll hear it now and know that the offer's on the table.
It's very much on the table.
Shout out to our guy Amir.
Absolutely. Please do it.
Yeah.
But
I just hope he comes to New York sometime and sits on our couch while we're doing an interview with his artist.
That's right. Anyway, so you guys link up.
Yeah. So
we vibe and
we vibe, and I hit him with a text, you know what I mean? Like, yo, man, will you manage me? Like, I feel like I'm just like, listen, I don't really need much. I just need, some guidance and some doors opened.
You put your heart out there.
Yeah, I put, I was like, yo, man, this is how I feel. And he was like, I got you. Let's make this happen. And so me and Jonathan at this point are like building Wise Up, and we're like, shooting more videos. We shoot, Guild Trip, which just starts catching a wave too. And all of a sudden it's like, we just feel like there's a momentum happening now, and there's like new energy. And then we dropped Selfish. I moved to LA full time. And at that time it was like, all right, man, like, what do you want to do with this energy? It's building up. You're getting a lot of views. Like, you're hitting, new milestones on like Spotify. So it's like, what do you want to do? And that's when we started putting together Apologies in Advance. And that became the project that like really like has kind of brought me to like this point. So we had this whole concept. We wanted to do like a 12-step program. Shouts to my man Nick Billardello, who like basically we asked if he could give us like some like concepts or whatnot, because my boy Gary Biddy, who executive produced and A&R the entire album, was like, yo, the album's called Apologies in Advance. Why would it not be Apologies in Advance? It's the first thing you say on Best Me. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, we hit up Nick, and I'm like, yo, man, can you sit with like the singles and just tell me what you think? He's like, all right, cool. And then he hits us back and he's like, yo, so I was jogging and holy shit, it's a fucking therapy session. Figure it out. Do whatever you got to do. And I'm like, all right. And so I hit up Jonathan. I'm like, yo, I think this is going to be a therapy session. And he was like, yo, every song could be like an emotion that you confront. And I'm like, yo, what if we get like, we weren't high, I promise. Yeah. He's like, yo, what if we get like a bunch of like, guys that's just like us and just have a conversation? Then it just became like this. It just became a constant like, yo. And
you guys just drinking a lot of coffee? Like,
yeah. Just drank a lot of coffee and just went in. And, we put together a therapy session. We had my boy Bryce narrate it, and he asked all the questions. And I put that on the album, and I just produced the entire thing, except for a couple records. And we did, a 2-month rollout. We dropped the trailer, which each person every Wednesday, explaining their emotions and what they're going through for like a minute. And then mine was the last. We did a short film for it. We dropped the last single, 555, and then
shouts to Jay-Z.
Shouts to Jigga. And then we dropped the album January 12th, and that became the biggest project of my career.
Yeah, so here we are in 2018. You got a big show in LA, got a big show in New York.
Yeah.
There's a lot of momentum behind you, and you figured yourself out.
Yeah.
So what's up next?
I think
it's now's the time that you bring Quest back.
Funny enough. So I'm abandoning everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna start over again.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just gonna be a reoccurring thing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's consistency and just continuing to control the narrative, but also letting the narrative play itself, So we did LA, we sold it out. It was our first sold out show. We went from doing the Mint with like 94 people to like a sold out crowd. In New York, I've been playing in New York forever. So to be able to sell out in New York was like a milestone. Mm-hmm. And, we're starting to get like nods from people, and a lot of people are looking and are, it's just this new energy. And people are really believing in like our Wise Up like message and what we stand for. And honestly, just continuing to be authentic, touch the people, making it about the people first, and just being consistent, man. Like, as long, the more simpler we can keep it in terms of like what we're trying to do, the better. Like, we'll let the accolades like happen as they happen, but the true essence of this is just touching the people, inspiring, and wising people up, honestly,
and letting the Sunshine Boys know
that's right
what time it is.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yo, congratulations on everything. That's a unbelievable story, and congratulations on a long career. Like, this is not that overnight success stuff. This is like a long time in the making. This is a lot of learning and a lot of experiencing. So really, like, thanks for this.
Nah, thank you, man. Like,
I thought you were gonna say Nas.
Nah, man, think Nas, man. You know what I mean? I definitely gonna have to thank him for a lot. But yeah, man, this is definitely like marathon for real, and I just hope that like for our career, like for him and for my career, and Jonathan and Blame and Mir, like everybody like that's involved in this process, we just hope that like people can like look at this and like feel comfort knowing that, yeah, man, it's cool. Like, yeah, you're bumping your head, it's not happening overnight, like it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, this is survival.
Yeah.
Of the freshest. Thanks, Sylvan.
Nah, thank you guys, man.
Thanks everyone for listening to this new episode of Waste Time with It's The Real. Jeff, if people want to find out more about you and me, we are It's The Real. If people want to find out more about this whole umbrella that we have, where we do books, and we do TV, and we do music, and we do podcasts, and we do live shows. If people want to find out more about anything we have going on, where can they go?
You can always go to wikipedia.com/itsthereal and edit our Wikipedia entry because I can't do it. I got banned.
Yeah.
You can also go to itsthereal.com. Go look for any upcoming tour dates. We are going to be at the Roots Picnic on June 2nd.
Yes, and more announcements coming soon.
We are also on soundcloud.com/A Waste of Time. We are also on iTunes. Search for A Waste of Time with It's The Real. The show is A Waste of Time. We are It's The Real.
Yeah.
You can always find us on streaming services for our music.
Please.
Search for Teddy Bear Fresh on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Pandora. I didn't realize that Pandora has such a huge market share. People love listening to music on Pandora.
Well, if you're a Tidal member, go stream it on there too. And if you love Spotify, add us to your playlists. Apple Music, go press play.
We're also on YouTube.
Yes.
.com/itsthereal.
Go there.
Hey, if you want to find us on social media.
And a lot of people like social media these days, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a burgeoning industry.
That's right.
Go search for @ItsTheReal on Twitter, @ItsTheReal on Instagram, @ItsTheReal on Facebook.
But
We're
wait.
also on Twitch.
Here's the switch up.
Yep. It's the Real on Twitch. And It's the Real on Reddit.
It's so
and
confusing.
It's the Real on Snapchat, but we haven't really used Snapchat.
Who even knows anymore? All I know, and I tell people this in real life, we're not The Real.
No.
We're not the women's talk show The Real. Although, congratulations to them. I think they want a daytime Emmy.
Oh, congratulations to all of us. And
Every
if we
last
are-
one of them.
If we are them and they are us, then we just won a daytime Emmy.
We need to clear some room on the shelf.
Yeah. Shouts to Adrienne Bailon. We did karaoke with her once.
Which, by the way, Emmy-winning performance.
Yeah.
You know? Jeff, this podcast is not going anywhere unless we spread the word to those loyal listeners out there who want to support us. So, we tell them to tell a friend, because all we want to do is double up our audience. Let's make us more than underdogs, guys. Let's make us
overdogs.
So, Jeff, who do you want to tell?
I want to tell a couple people from Baltimore, Maryland.
All right.
Actually, I want to tell a few people.
Shout out to the whole DMV, by the way.
Yeah, let's really stretch this out. Okay, I want to shout out Black Dante, aka Katian Smooth.
All right.
On Twitter, he's been a constant supporter there. I want to shout out Mini Hip Hop Museum on Instagram.
There you go.
Who they take excerpts from the things that we say on here, and they put them up as fact.
Crazy.
On their Instagram page. I also want to shout out YG Addy.
Hey, there you go.
I want to shout out Tate Kobang.
Yep.
I want to shout out...
How about we shout out our guy Caduce, who was in Baltimore to see his good friend, Shauna Paul.
Shauna Paul.
Shout out to Caduce and the whole family down there.
Jordy and Rebecca.
We'll see. We'll see you hopefully soon. I want to shout out Jeff, someone who's more local, Mr. Break It Down, who
he bags it up.
He bags it up. He's not only a big fan of ours, he's a big fan of Combat Jacks, and he had met him a couple times. He wants to intern with us. He wants to help us out in some form or fashion, and we'll see what we can do. Interns, if you want to do stuff for us, there is always that possibility, so reach out to us on social media. Reach out to us.
Yeah, as long as you're better than our only intern that we've ever had, Dave. Dave was not good.
You know, Dave didn't know anything about hip-hop or the internet, and those were certainly handicaps.
We love Dave as a person. Dave is a family friend.
Great guy.
But Dave was he was 16 when we met him.
You know what? He was green.
He was very green. His parents wouldn't let him on the subway.
So we made it happen as best we could.
Yeah. We held Dave's hand and he stole our books.
If you guys want to be #better than Dave, hit us up and let us know if you are willing to intern for us. It's not glamorous, I gotta be honest. Like, the things that we need from people are on that level of, like, getting coffee, on the level of transcribing episodes.
We need you to kill for us.
We need you to just make this engine run smoother. So if you have an engineering degree, just, you know.
If you have an engineering degree, you are overqualified for what we need you to do.
Well, but you know what, Jeff?
What's that?
Engineer us some coffee.
All right.
As always, guys, not for real, for real.
Sure.
We'll see you guys next week.